Everybody is texting, calling. Did you hear the news? Did you see what happened? Tucker Carlson, no longer with Fox. Don Lemon, moments later, fired. Both respond. Not Tucker hasn't responded yet, but Don Lemon has. Here's what Fox says, we thank him for his service to the network as a host and prior to that as a contributor. Mr. Carlson's last program was aired Friday 21st. CNN about Don Lemon says, CNN and Don have parted ways. Don will forever be part of the CNN family, and we thank him for his contributions over the last 17 years. We wish him well, and we will be cheering him on in his future endeavors. But this is what Don said, slightly different. Yeah. I was informed this morning by my agent that I've been terminated by CNN. I am stunned after 17 years at CNN. I would have thought that someone in management would have had the decency to tell me directly. At no time was I ever given any indication that I would not be able to continue to do work I have loved at the network. FYI, Fox's stock is down. CNN stock's up, which tells you CNN shareholders are happy. Lemon is no longer with them. Fox shareholders are disappointed that Tucker is no longer with them. There's a lot of different stories circulating. We'll talk about it. What was your immediate reaction when you heard the news?
Well, the Tucker thing was, whoa, breaking news.
Yeah.
Like, that came out of absolute nowhere, all right? And people are texting, what do you think about this? Where's he going? Clearly, Tucker has way more leverage and way more options than Don Lemon. When the Don Lemon thing happened and he was shell-shocked, I mean, I think it was, the writing was on the wall for Don Lemon for well over a year now. He's been a dead man walking at CNN ever since Chris Lick, the new CEO, took over for Jeff Zucker. His show, which I believe was used to be at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., right after Anderson Cooper. Those guys right after Cuomo, those two had a little bromance going on. He got demoted to the morning show, which their ratings are bottom of the morning ratings compared to Fox and Friends and compared to MSNBC Morning Joe. But then he had a leave of absence. So as far as Don Lemon goes, he's either completely naive or just completely living in fantasy land. The fact that he didn't see the writing on the wall, everybody saw the writing on the wall for you, Don Lemon.
No, but I think, Pat, that, well, Don Lemon, bro, mind you, he's hardcore left. He pushes their agenda. He thought he was untouchable. Because how many sexual assault, allegedly a sexual assault, he assaulted waiters in New York. He's saying the stuff that he says about women. He thought he was untouchable. This is. I think you're wrong. I think it's a real shock. Because he's like, wait a minute, I check all the boxes. He's a gay dude. He's a black guy. They can't fire me, and he got shocked. But the Tucker thing, if you think about it, Tucker was Fox News. I don't care what everybody else to me, Pat, is a filler. Don Bongino, I love all of them, but dude, Tucker is Tucker. The team, the writing, the producing, the topics, the ballsiness. He doesn't care. He spits the truth. I think he's obviously way more important and necessary, and I'm shocked. I had a cousin that I haven't talked to in years, Pat. That's the first text I've gotten in years was, did you see what happened? That's the one that I got, but it's going to be a very interesting 24 hours.
Tom.
I think the Don Lemon statement that was on Twitter I found really disappointing 4 years ago. Just read.
Yeah.
Vinny hit the nail on the head as far as, checking all the boxes, everything that happens with the DEI movement, diversity, equity, inclusion. You got a gay black guy who's going to basically sing lock and step with your agenda. You would think on the surface Don Lemon is the poster boy for what CNN would want to do, but
okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. So there's Rob, did you say another story just came in from Mediaite or somewhere else about, if you want to read that, what you just saw right now?
Correct. It was a firing. Tucker Carlson's exit from Fox was not voluntary, according to sources that spoke with Mediaite. Tucker Carlson's departure from Fox News was not voluntary. Multiple sources have told Mediaite. Fox News shocked the media world Monday morning with a statement announcing the network and its top-rated host have agreed to parted ways. Down here, Carlson's final show that aired Friday night showed no indication he expected it to be his last, with the host signing off by telling his audience, "We'll be back on Monday." A source who spoke with Mediaite on condition of anonymity revealed that Carlson was in fact shocked by the news. According to the source, he was totally surprised. He had no idea. Another source added it was a firing. Carlson was informed today, explaining why he'd closed Friday's show, saying he'd be back on Monday.
Let me ask you a question, Pat. We just covered the Dominion lawsuit, $785 million that just came down the pike, what, Thursday, Friday,
Thursday.
whenever we discussed that. How much is this firing of Tucker Carlson, in your opinion, a byproduct of that?
Well, did you see what his last episode was about?
No.
You didn't see what his last episode
No.
was about. So his last episode, Jorge, you guys got to tell me what you're doing. So I'm watching for you, and I'm hearing you screaming, and I don't know what you guys are doing with the mic. Give me a signal. Yes, thank you. So, on Friday, he did his last episode, and he talked about RFK. He said, imagine if I work for a company, and imagine if Fox News was being fed and we're promoting these pillow guys and behind closed doors, and we keep saying this, and whatever they tell us to do, we silence ourselves and we don't say anything. That would never happen on Fox News, right?
Yeah.
That's what his message was about on Friday.
Wow.
Okay? And he was talking about RFK. He was talking about calling out the fact that other media platforms, because of big pharma, they can tell you to silence yourself, all this stuff. Now, was he talking about Fox? The question is, did he know anything on Friday? Did he know anything on Thursday? Did he know anything last week? Has he felt anything at Fox that now that Rupert Murdoch, who is, I want to say he's 92 years old. I don't know how old he is.
He's getting up there.
Yeah,
if
he's up there.
I think
Recently
he's
engaged and that called it off.
He's
There's-
92 years old.
Yeah.
March 11th, he turned 92. And in the media industry, this guy's one of the biggest heavyweights, owns Wall Street Journal, owns New York Post, owns Fox. They've pretty much had the entire, conservative, Republican, right-wing side he's had a monopoly on for years. However, he does have two boys. And his two sons, I believe he's got two boys that are running the
Lachlan
company.
and what's the other one's
James?
name?
Is it James?
James, yeah.
Two of these guys that are running the company, and politically, they're not fully on the same page as their father is.
Oh, wow.
And they're not wanting to go necessarily in the same direction as Pops. Now, we don't know that for a fact. These are all a lot of speculation that people talk about. But there's a couple things that's going on here. What do you think about when you're 92? How many people at 92 are still doing deals and, running and gunning? Are you thinking about that? Now, Kirk Kerkorian, he was still doing deals.
Warren
MGM.
Buffett.
John Wooden, he's still doing deals. Buffett,
still in there.
Munger, some of these guys, yes, you would put them up there.
Charlie's now almost 100.
He's almost
Charlie's now 100. Yeah, so is it close to 100?
Oh, very, very close.
Yeah.
He's like 98.
So there's also an element of, I worked at a company, Bally Total Fitness. In the 80s, that was the gym. Everybody wanted to go to Bally's. There were sales guys in the 80s at Bally's making 100, 150 grand a year. In the 80s, 150 was a lot of money.
Of course.
Because you would sell contracts, so people were happy. Everybody wanted to work at Bally's. They had the best training. Great things was going on. And then all of a sudden, boom, suddenly things changed. Standards changed. Comp change. Vision change. It was no longer about being the best in the marketplace anymore. Then what happened? Gradually, one guy, second guy left, third guy left, fourth guy left, then it was an exodus with Bally's, and the rest is history. So today, with Fox, they may be sitting there saying, well, we have to be very careful with what's going on after Dominion 787. That's 20% of your savings in your bank account from $4 billion. That's not a little bit of money. It's a lot of money that goes and gets depleted over a lawsuit that's a settlement. So, by the way, none of the lawsuit was any of it tied to Tucker. It was other hosts. It wasn't Tucker.
100%.
It wasn't. Even CNN talked about it just an hour ago.
Okay.
On CNN, 45 minutes ago, the CNN host said that 787 had nothing to do with Tucker Carlson. It was other hosts.
Right.
This isn't Fox saying it. This isn't MSNBC saying it. This is CNN saying it.
Okay.
I've read conflicting reports about that, but this is the big news today, y'all. This is the big news. Holy shit! It's a massacre of the mainstream media.
It is I, Venom, and now we're about to show you EOD 696's stream. Yes, it's a show where anything goes, free speech reigns, and if you don't like it, well, I might just pick my teeth on your flesh. So sit back, shut your mouths, and enjoy free speech and free reign. Yes.
All right, how y'all doing out there? We got a lot of people today. Oh shit! I see Boomer Bob out there. We got Mind is E, Duchess of New Jersey. I would just call you Duchess. We got Jen, Lesto, only a Mr. Bill, and Miss April Dawn. It's good to see you guys. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. But yeah, I was sitting here eating supper. I was running a little bit late, and I figured, well, I'll check out what PBD's been saying about it, and what, lo and behold, there's some really base takes and important information in there. But I'm not sure about the case thing. It had to do with other hosts and not Tucker Carlson. I've read conflicting reports about that. But I don't know, man. Time will tell. Time will tell. We'll see what happens. But for the time being, we did get rid of Don Lemon. I call that a win. So, other than this, earth-shattering news, we do have some special programming intended for tonight. So we were going to have Bam and DBO back to talk about abortion in America and what the fuck's been going on at some of the abortion clinics around the country. But let me see if I can get a hold of them and we'll bring them in. Anyway, Lesto says, I can't figure out why people are saying Tucker was kicked off because of Dominion. How much did they lose? 600 million? How much stocks has Fox lost so far? I bet it was way worse than the lawsuit. Well, all right. While we're waiting, what I was finding was that there were apparently sexual allegations in a case against Tucker Carlson. Yeah. Well, okay. Sexism isn't sexual allegations, but let's see. This lady right here. Last month, booking producer Abby Grossberg filed a lawsuit against Fox that detailed specific claims about Carlson's show. So yeah, she's overworked, is what she's complaining about, and she had to go to therapy over it. That's what she was saying. I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not. Daily Mail seems to think that might be connected. Fact is, we don't really know. But we'll see what happens. We got as with all things, we have to wait for the facts to actually shake out. But so far, that has not yet happened. Let's see how this goes. I'm gonna do my best to keep things, chill and even kill tonight, but we'll see what happens. What's up, DBO? How you doing,
man? Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. Hanging in there like a hair in a biscuit, as I always say.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah. Well, what more can you hope for than to hang in there sometimes? And what's harder to get rid of than a hair in a biscuit? Yeah, Wobbly says it's being reported that it was the January 6th coverage. Murdoch gave $100 million to Biden's campaign. Yeah, go figure. That wouldn't surprise me. You heard about Tucker Carlson getting fired from Fox News?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up, man.
I don't really know what to say about it. Maybe they are worried about this lawsuit. Maybe it had to do with like January 6th or vaccinations or it's all basically just speculation. I think at this very moment, I think it was pretty stupid of Fox to do. I mean, you're firing your number one guy who rakes in more ratings than any other news mainstream news personality on TV. So
yeah, more than CNN combined, I thought, all by himself.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. I'm not sure, business wise how it makes sense, of course, unless they're looking at, well, we're losing money for the stuff that he's saying. I don't know. I kind of hope, I'm guessing he's going to go do his own thing. I was listening to an interview that he was doing like a week or two ago where he was he was talking about guys that build their own studios and how simple it is nowadays to just build your own studio and do your own thing. And he sounded like he was interested in doing that.
That
So
would be interesting.
I'm assuming that's what he's going to do. I, on the other hand, want to go full tinfoil hat and say that him and Don Lemon are going to team up and do a show together.
I sort of endorse that theory. Tucker Carlson first made his name on CNN Crossfire back in the day. You remember that? He was
quite a while ago. That's when he was back in his bow tie days.
Right. He used to wear the damn bow tie back when he wore the bow tie. And but he was supposed to be the righty, and then it was that old judge, that old curmudgeon judge, former judge or whatever. I forget his fucking name. I hated that guy sometimes though.
You're not talking about Judge Judy, are you?
No.
I was gonna say, who could hate Judge Judy?
Well, no. Judge Judy's peach.
Does Judge Judy remind you of your mother?
A little bit sometimes.
A little bit,
Maybe one of my aunts. Yeah.
All right.
She's definitely got that.
Definitely got mom vibes to her, right?
Yeah. Parental sort of overreach kind of attitude. She deals with people sometimes. No, you will shut up and listen to me sentence you right now. That kind of shit. Excuse me. Wobbly, don't say shit on here about it, man. This is just like a promotional page. He did start his own little production, Dilly Bob, that was running through Fox Live or whatever.
What do you think? What would you think is more likely to happen? That he goes out on his own, or do you think he winds up signing a contract with like Blaze or the Daily Wire,
or whatever the hell Steven Crowder's trying to do? I don't know. I'd say it's 50-50.
The thing, I mean, did you hear what Dave Landau was saying about Steven Crowder recently?
Yeah, on Mike O'Malice's podcast, that was pretty fucked up.
Yeah. So it's pretty interesting how all of that contract drama seems to ebb and flow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's bubbling up to the surface. What was it? He was saying that Steven was gonna give him the door money for like people entering the venue, but anything other than that that was made off of his shows, his actual in live comedy performances was gonna be taken by Crowder. And he's like, "Well, that's fucked up. You give me the door, so that means you own my comedy." I was like, "That's pretty fucked, dude. That is pretty fucked." Oh. Bam said she was early, and lo and behold, she's not here.
Do you have any idea what exactly she wants us to do?
I think so. Let me see. Yeah, this. It's only about 15 minutes long. No, there she is. She's good. Who? What? What are you talking about, Wobbly? Whose ass is she kissing? Oh, here she is. All right. Hello, Bam.
Hey.
Hey.
Camera. Okay. Hello.
There she is. Hello, Bam.
How you doing?
Guys.
Well, I'm so glad we were able to gather tonight.
How was
Um,
dinner?
It was okay. It was a TV dinner. But I'm surviving. That's the important thing. How about you? What'd you eat for dinner?
I'm still picking up my rice and beans.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to cook tacos, but I got lazy and made cheeseburgers instead.
It was like 50-50 on that one.
Kind of. A little bit.
Well, anyway, I'm glad you guys could join me. So, Bam, we were talking about Steven Crowder and Don Lemon getting fired. Did you hear about that today?
Tucker Carlson.
I
Oh,
was gonna
yeah,
say,
my bad.
Tucker Carlson. Yeah, I heard about that, and there's a couple Russian media outlets that have offered him jobs.
Russian media outlets, what?
Yeah, who were they?
No, what? I didn't hear what you said. You kind of broke up.
There was at least one Russian media, whatever channel that offered him a job.
That offered him a job. Oh. Well, we have no idea what he's gonna do. It was our speculation that he'd probably just break off onto his own damn thing.
Yeah, it's
Because he has been doing these big productions lately for Fox Nation. So
Russia Today offered him a job opportunity.
sure. That doesn't mean he's actually talking to him, does it?
No, I didn't say that already. It's just like the Russians are chomping at the bit, right?
Of course. They always are.
He wants that job. It's not what
Well, you know, I can think of a certain Brazilian meteorologist who, if she ever leaves her network, I'm gonna be asking her to come and work for me. I'll tell you that.
probably a few of those.
Anyway. All right, so I think this is what you wanted us to look at, right?
Well, this is what I was talking about the other day. Yeah, it's within the last couple of years. There's at least the last year, there's been attention called to this. I guess relatively new as far as I know, relatively new problem in the adoption industry.
Okay. Well, it's only about 15 minutes, so I think we can power through it
Well,
and
at
then.
the end of the video, there's an African guy speaking at the end of the video. You can skip. I don't know how much time that is, but like he blames it on America being too gay or something weird like that. I don't know what that part is. You can skip that.
I think we should definitely watch that part.
It's on you.
Well, I guess we'll feel it out.
If you think America is the heart of modern civilization, this story will surely change your mind. There, a trade in unwanted children exists, and the way they do it is distressing. It's known as rehoming, and when parents decide they no longer want their adopted
What's up, Blacking? Welcome in, man.
they simply advertise them on websites to lure prospective new parents. It's as straightforward as getting rid of an old fridge on eBay. There's no vetting or court orders required, and these disposable children can be handed over to anyone. In fact, until you see it, it's difficult to believe, and we should warn you, it's quite confronting.
First up, we have Alicia.
Yeah, we did watch the first part of this the other night, didn't we?
Who is looking for her forever family.
This looks pretty fucked up.
It's a parade like no other. Abandoned children desperately selling themselves to win over a new family, a new start.
She also likes drawing and doing art.
Like I say, though, at least the kids are having fun with it. I don't know.
And in the audience, sizing them up to find a perfect match, are their potential parents.
Okay, Michaela, you look.
They're not throwing dollar bills at them.
Right? It
Travelling to
literally
this
looks like
so-called matching event today is Tom, a teacher
That's not far off, though, is it?
who is interested in 14-year-old Frank, given up by his adopted family 2 years ago and now living in a care home.
Today is important because I get a chance to kind of be a part of something, you know, a part of a family that I've been waiting to be a part of for a very long time now.
If something happens, then we'll pursue it, and if not, not a big deal. Nothing gained, nothing lost.
But Frank is anxious to make something happen. He has much to lose and only 2 hours to convince Tom he's worthy of adoption.
I'm trying to show him the brightest aspects of me and to let him know what the darkest ones are.
Frank has sold himself well. Tom agrees to give his new son a trial run and will collect him in 15 days' time.
Thank you. Do the same.
Okay, so that's kind of a mischaracterization. I mean, I think that's how it always works. There's like, especially when a foster kid or an orphan is that old, they go to the family and stay there for a little while to figure out whether or not it's going to work. Does that track or?
No, this is not how it's supposed to happen. You get placed in a foster home and it works.
Sure. And there's a big relationship between the foster home and the parents before that placement occurs. But part of that placement process is like a little grace period where maybe if things blow up in your face, right, you're not necessarily committed.
I think the difference is in that case, a child understands they're going into foster care, right? You understand This is a foster home. This is a readoption. This is rehoming, right? These kids are looking for prospective adoptive parents because they were given up by their adoptive parents, right? That kid was given up at 12 years old. Like he was adopted much younger. Then at 12 years old, he was sent to a home because the adoptive parents no longer wanted him. I understand what you mean in the sense of foster care, right? And that's something that's regulated. This is not a regulated thing. I can explain after the video how these rehomings work, how they manage to get away with it without going through an agency. But you're right in the sense that if it was a foster home and it was a temporary placement, they understand that. These kids are going to this place to try to sell themselves to potential adoptees, right? Somebody's bringing you home to decide if they want to adopt you, not bringing you into their home because you're in foster care and they're a foster parent and it's a temporary situation. You don't expect
all I'm trying to say is that in a well-run and well-regulated adoptee system, right? There is a period of time where the prospective parents and the prospective child spend some time getting to know one another.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
That's all I was trying to say.
I would have a question as well, and I believe I did watch this today, just trying to do some little preparation for what we might talk about, and this was one of the videos I watched. I don't want to dive further into asking a question before we watch the video.
All right, yeah, that's my bad.
Maybe I'll hold off on my question.
Okay. Yeah, it's my bad. Let's try to get through more of this.
But 6 months later, Tom decides they're not compatible. And again, Frank can only hope and wait to find a family who wants him forever. To see those children trying to sell themselves, to find a forever family, what does that do to your stomach?
Oh, it turns it. It is appalling that we get to a place as unseemly as this. Appalling.
It is distressing, tragic, and completely legal. Here in the US, it's a phenomenon known as rehoming, where, along with matching events, troubled kids are advertised like goods on eBay and given to anyone who'll take them. Mostly, they're adopted and often wear the scars of abuse and neglect. Most disturbingly, their parents have decided they no longer want them. It could be here in New York City.
It could be here in New York. It could be.
Can we
Boston.
pause?
For Adam Pertman from the
We made it 1 minute.
Sorry, I'm having a quick. I just want to try to clarify something real quick. This is disgusting. It does look like an auctioning off of a child, which is pretty gross. I think in anybody's eyeballs. They're calling it a matching event. But they're also calling this rehoming. Now, I think in the definition that they're giving of rehoming, that is when a person, like an adoption parents, they no longer want the kid that they adopted, and so now they're looking to rehome the kid. Is that the gist that you guys got from that? Because it sounded like the adopted parents no longer wanted this kid named Frank or whatever his name was, and he's been at this facility, I'm assuming like a foster adoption facility, for 7, 9, 10 months, something like that. And so it doesn't look like it's the parents trying to find a new adoption place. It looks more like these adopting parents gave up their kid that they adopted. And now this facility is trying to find new parents. Are we following what I'm saying here?
So that's it. In this situation, I'm not sure if the facility is trying to do it. There's other platforms that this is being done on, but this is just one of the stories that I saw about it. It looks like in that case, yes, maybe the parents had turned him over to the foster care system or something, and he's in a some kind of group home. But I like it still, why is there not a system that's matching people with it? Why are we putting them on display on a runway and making them beg for somebody to adopt them? It's pretty sick. But
I agree. I think that's disgusting, as I said. I just wanted to try to clarify
yeah,
that.
in this situation, but there's another situation I want to discuss.
Sure, no, I agree. Go ahead, continue, please, EOD.
I'm gonna hold my comments.
Boston-based National Centre on Adoption and Permanency, rehoming is the heartless result of desperation.
Desperate people do stupid things and desperate things. There should be legal structures and social structures and professionals who know what the hell they're doing around all of this. If we don't protect vulnerable children, who do we protect?
It's an underground trade in children that could be happening in any suburb across America. It's estimated that there is something like 24,000 foreign adoptees who are no longer with their adopted families. And as we've seen, there are countless more waiting to be rehomed. To rehome a child here is breathtakingly easy. Parents who no longer want their kids simply sign them over to those who do. And that could be anyone. A desperate, loving parent in waiting, or a monster.
I think it's often that the child doesn't meet the expectations of the family. And so instead of working with the child, they're trying to rehome them.
Get rid of them.
Dispose of them.
Megan Exxon has 5 adopted children, 2 through rehoming.
Look at the little girl in her ballet costume with her flower in her hair. I don't know how you can give a child up.
As well, Megan is all too aware that not everyone who seeks out these children can be trusted. And what about the people who might be looking at these photos? Who might they be?
Well, it could be anyone. We know from experience it can be pedophiles and people who are liars and cheats.
Well, this is like a shopping list for a pedophile.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
17-year-old Poppy knows the awful truth through first-hand experience. Like an unwanted pet, Poppy's former adoptive parents rehomed her when she was just 7 years old. They delivered her to Nicole and Calvin Eason, a couple they met in an adoption chat room who have since been exposed as serial pedophiles. Here, Nicole is caught discussing rehoming.
A family looks for another family, internet, word of mouth, friends.
And her not-so-gentle approach to parenting.
I smacked them in the mouth, and I've gotten them with a spatula. I have no regrets about it, no complaints about it.
The day that you were sent to the Easons' home, what was that like?
Scary.
What was scary about it?
Being dropped off by people who I thought that were family. in not being able to see them anymore.
So this was your mum and dad, who you considered to be your mum and dad.
Mm-hmm.
And did you understand why you were being sent away?
No. I was told that was just that we were going on a little road trip, and that's all they told me.
Poppy and another child from another family, 14-year-old Dimitri, would now experience the very worst of rehoming. What happened in that house?
A lot of things that shouldn't have happened.
How would you describe the Easons?
Scum, uncaring, heartless, self-serving, selfish.
Lynn Banks, an adoptive parent herself and a crusader against adoption scammers, uncovered the Easons online and was immediately alarmed. Did you spot that it was a fake as soon as you saw it?
Yes, they were trying to take kids into their home under false pretenses.
This shows how easily the Easons con people. This document is meant to reassure parents who no longer want their children that they've given them to the right people. It's a safety assessment signed off by social workers. But the Easons was pure fiction. When you became suspicious of the Easons, did you become obsessed with tracking them down and stopping them?
It was the right thing to do. And I couldn't turn around and walk away from that. You know, who else was going to do it?
Lynn discovered the Easons' own children had been removed from them due to neglect and suspected abuse. She told police, as the Easons moved across the country, of the kids they collected on the way. How similar was the story from state to state?
Very similar. They were doing damage. They weren't getting caught. They were free to move on.
Can you explain to me how Dimitri and Poppy were placed with the Easons?
Well, I mean, they met on our group.
Megan Exon ran a chat room set up to support other adoptive parents. Unaware of their background, she welcomed the Easons and introduced them to the other families. But tracking their every online move, Lynn alerted Megan immediately.
Well, I know for a fact that she has an 8-year-old and a 14-year-old from our group. We introduced them, but
Just 2 weeks before this call, Poppy and Dimitri's parents had dumped them with Nicole and Calvin Eason. Lynn's phone call was confronting and devastating.
A pedophile? Is this Calvin?
Did that say after 2 weeks?
After having that conversation.
Oh.
A pedophile?
Just 2 weeks before this call, Poppy and Dimitri's parents had dumped
2 weeks
them
before.
with Nicole and Calvin Eason. Lynn's phone call was confronting and devastating.
A pedophile? Is this Calvin?
After having that conversation with Lynn, what did you do next?
The first thing I did was I called the parents, and according to them, they couldn't come for their children. And I decided if nobody else was going to go for them, that I would.
Shame on them in a big way. There are some parents that will walk away and not look back. It's an ugly world at times, let me tell you.
With no guarantees that the Easons would hand over the children, Megan immediately set off on a 10-hour mercy dash to right her mistake.
The house was ramshackle on the outside. It had garbage bags. It had animal feces. It had urine in the front.
So you go up to the door and you meet a fairly imposing man, I'd imagine. He's 6'2".
Yes, I'm 5 feet tall. I just said, I'm here for the children. And he said, well, you can't have them. And I said, no, Calvin, you can't have them. You don't have a right to them.
Lynn describes that decision as very brave. Do you feel brave?
No, I feel stupid
Why is that?
because I helped put them in that position.
And what did you think of somebody coming and rescuing you in that way?
I thought she was a hero of that, what she was doing.
You thought she was a hero? Poppy suffered what no one should, especially a 7-year-old abandoned child.
She was certainly molested. Nicole and Calvin walked around naked. They wanted the children to sleep in bed with them. They had the children watch
What
pornography.
the fuck?
And as though it were a family movie.
So moved by Poppy's experience, Megan adopted her, and Dimitri found a family too. Although she was now safe, for a long time, Poppy blamed herself for being dumped by the people she knew as her mum and dad, who she could only recently face again. So you met up with your adoptive parents, your first adoptive parents. What was that like?
I felt guilt that I did something to them to make them do that to me because I didn't understand why. She told me she didn't think that she was capable of taking care of me anymore.
Have you forgiven her for not coming and rescuing you?
Not quite yet.
Incredibly, even after Poppy was saved, the Easons continued rehoming children. It took Lynn Banks nearly a decade of collecting evidence against them before the FBI acted. With the aid of her testimony, 2 months ago, the Easons were each sentenced to 40 years in jail for their crimes against children.
I just can't imagine being in a home with them.
Wait, they got him, right?
2 months ago, the
Yes.
Easons were each sentenced to 40 years in jail for their crimes against children.
Thank God.
I just can't imagine being in a home with them.
All right. One of my points is probably a point of confusion.
You know, and I just can't imagine being a little person under somebody's control like that, and the people having their way with you, and I just can't imagine.
In all, Lynn's unwavering decade-long pursuit of the Easons resulted in 11 children being saved. Today, for the first time, she gets to meet one of them. How are you feeling about seeing Poppy and Megan?
Yeah, I think it's gonna hit home now. Yeah.
What's hitting home?
Oh, they're real. Those kids were real.
Well,
Yeah.
look, she certainly is real, and here she is.
She is.
Hi. This is Megan.
Hi, Megan.
Oh, hi, Lynn.
Oh.
This is my daughter, Poppy.
Can I hug you? I'm so glad to meet you.
Nice to
And
meet you too. Glad to meet you too.
To see Poppy in person is to be reminded of why Lynn did what she did.
I've wanted to do this for a long time.
To save precious lives from the most vile people.
I'm just glad you're safe. Yeah.
Let's go get the eggs. Come on.
Having found her forever family with Megan, Marty, and her 4 adopted brothers and sisters, Poppy has been given a chance to live
They look
a
like
life
twins.
she deserves.
No, not quite.
Oh, little backyard do-it-yourself chicken coop.
What do you think of adults who are able to leave
You got one of those, don't
their
you?
children with strangers, who can just
I do.
leave a child and walk away?
They're disgusting and they don't deserve kids themselves.
Do you think rehoming should be allowed in this country?
I hate that everybody's in that position. I think it needs to be regulated so that it's safe for the kids. But the child needs to heal from the rejection and the abandonment and the trauma. They have every right to walk this earth healed. So, that's it.
Where's that bit about the preacher saying crazy shit?
Sorry, I just realized that I actually went and looked up the full video for you. It was a short video that I had seen of this, and then I looked up the full video for you. So that's not the same video with the guy screaming about homosexuals. I'm sorry. I'll find it eventually.
Nah,
Um,
that's okay. I'd rather not hear it, frankly.
the thing I want to address that she skimmed over. So they were showing the Facebook rehoming groups on the screen without talking about it, and that kind of annoyed me. So the bigger issue than these, which these are already horrific, is these Facebook rehoming groups that have popped up, where it's not. There's one big one that's done through an agency. I still don't agree with the idea of advertising kids on Facebook, but then there's a bunch of smaller Facebook groups and what they're doing to rehome these kids, since they're not doing it in a regulated way. You can sign guardianship of your child over to anybody, right? There's no regulation with that, because, like, say you need to leave the country for work or whatever, and you're going to be gone for a really long time. Somebody needs to have guardianship of your kids. So we have the system in place where you can sign guardianship over for a year at a time. So these parents on the smaller rehoming groups, that's what they're doing instead of um, uh, suspending their adoption completely. They're signing over guardianship to just people that they found on Facebook. I sent you another video that has that, but that was the gist of what I wanted to address, because it was weird that she was showing the Facebook rehoming groups and not addressing.
Well, I mean, I guess that must be where I got confused, because she said that this was perfectly legal, and so I started looking up some of the info on how this stuff is supposed to work across the country, and this is not it. So also the thing with the parade at the beginning, that seemed quite unrelated to the case that they ended up boiling down to. I felt like we kind of got led down a stone path there. You know what I mean?
I think the point of the video is just exposing different problems with rehoming in the United States, right? Not just
Okay, well, I mean, to go back to that case, just for a moment, there has to be an opportunity for the prospective parents to meet the kid, right? I mean, and usually this occurs like in some element of play, right? Whether they're just at recess or running around, or or they have a sit down meeting with the parents in a counselor's office or something like that, right? So, I mean, that just seemed like an example of a way to do that, and I'm sure it was participatory. I mean, it looked like a well organized situation.
I don't think the issue is with these trial periods, right? I understand that is a part of adopting is trial periods. I understand that. Leading up to this, having
But
these kids,
also is a criminal history background check, and to make sure that there's no substantiated report of child abuse or neglect, and that criminal background history check. These are also things that are required. So you're saying I mean, I get that going through Facebook and just signing over guardianship, that's pretty fucked up. It seems like there should be a background check involved in that process as well, wouldn't there?
There is not. I mean, I'm sure some people do their own personal background checks, but it's not. A lot of these groups are completely unregulated, and they get away with this by
No,
signing over guardianship.
I mean, the process of signing over guardianship should involve a background check with the person who's taking custody. That's what I'm saying. Whether they want it to or not, that should be a requirement by the state. That would seem the reason. If that's not the case, it should be.
There's something I'll talk to you about off stream in regards to that. So you're looking at this issue from the tail end and not from the head, right? The issue here isn't how the adoption is going after they've already sold themselves. The issue is rehoming is happening way too much in the United States, and that we have events like this where kids are selling themselves to parents. This is very traumatic for these kids. And what I was talking about is how there needs to be some kind of reform to the adoption process in the United States. This shouldn't happen. You shouldn't have kids
Well,
selling themselves.
this is also, abstracted from the norm. This is abnormal, right? This is against any code of morality, and certainly violates some ethics rules. I'm sure of it, and can constitute abuse of a child, just like it did in the case that they highlighted, where those people went to jail for 40 years.
Right. They went to jail for child abuse, not for the process to rehome the kids.
Right.
That's not what they were in jail for. They got caught. Right. The process stood to them.
Well, then another aspect of that is they didn't have any morality to stand on in the first fucking place. And if people are going to do this kind of shit, they probably don't either. So look, there are ways to do this legitimately, and it's. I think that's more to the case, more often the case.
Adoption is bad. I'm not saying adoption is bad. I'm saying that we have issues within our adoption system that need attention.
Well, I agree. Correct me if I'm wrong, DBO, but there was a story about the U.S. Marshals not too long ago, starting in Florida, I'm pretty sure, and releasing hundreds of victims of human trafficking from in several places throughout the country, but it seemed like it originated in Florida. I thought. I don't know.
I'm sorry, I missed most of what you said. You were kind of going robot for me.
Oh, my bad. I was saying that I seem to remember a story not too long ago about the U.S. Marshals finding a human trafficking ring originating in Florida and then tracking down victims all over the country and tracking them down and freeing them. Do you recall this at all?
It sounds familiar, but to be honest with you, I live in Florida, and it's quite often that you'll hear of the sheriff's departments finding some weird rings that are involving teachers and people that work at Disney, things like this. So, we rounded up 38, child abusers, and this ring that involved Disney employees and this, and school teachers and so on and so forth. Just in the area. So I don't recall the exact one that you speak of.
I'm just speculating.
Sure. I think you were right about the beginning story, which is why I tried to ask about it in the very beginning. Because the way the video went on to describe rehoming seemed a lot different than what was happening in the very first story of the kid that was like, and you're right, he was doing this thing where they're like auctioning off children, they're kind of walking down a runway, and this seems creepy and weird. Okay. I think EOD is right. There's probably a period of time where parents need to observe children, get to know each other type of situation, obviously, before they choose to adopt somebody. But the runway approach, like it really looked to me like auctioning off of kids. Like I was expecting an auctioneer to be like, can I get 150, get a 150, 250, 250. It's creepy and sad, of course. Yes. Let's see, where do I want to take this? This can get uncomfortable, but I'm willing to have the conversation if you guys
The
are.
issue is just that rehoming is becoming more of a problem, and rehoming in and of itself is a big issue for these children, right? These children are going to have a lot of trauma tied to that if they're being raised until they're 12 years old, and then their parents are like, well, I don't want to be your parent anymore. So you lose your parents at 12 years old, and 12 is a really difficult time for anybody, right? That's when puberty starts.
Well, it's actually worse than that. You lose your parents probably somewhere in the beginning, and then you lose your adopted parents at 12.
Right. So now two sets of parents didn't want you.
Sure. Now we could talk about that if you want. I'll hit it in 2 quick points, and we'll see which one you want to take. People giving away kids just in general. who does this? Obviously, there's people that give away their own biological kids. Not only just like at birth, like there's some mothers or some parents that say, this isn't gonna work. Dad's in and out of prison, mom is a drug addict, like let's just give this kid up for adoption. Then there are people that, for whatever reason, maybe even later on in life, they get frustrated and say, I can't do this anymore. Maybe the child has some mental health problems, or maybe the kid has some physical problems, or maybe the parent is just stressed out for whatever reason. They decide, I don't want to do this anymore. Um, that's an issue. And I think whatever the issues that is for a biological parent, I think it's way more extreme for an adopted parent. For instance, if you have a kid that has these issues, and at least they're your child biologically, they're yours. They came from your loins, your body.
Your progeny, yeah.
If you got a problem with that, imagine like somebody that adopts somebody, and then they wound up having to deal with the struggle of being just a parent, and they say, you know what, I don't want to deal with this. I'll find a better model. You know what I mean? And it's messed up. It's messed up, and it shouldn't be like that. I think parents will have a closer connection to their children if they are biological than they will adopted. I know of adopted parents who absolutely love their kids, but it's my opinion that biological kids will have a deeper connection with their parents. Um, should there be some sort of, what type of regulations are we talking about? And would those regulations be for biological parents and adopted parents? Like, for instance, what if there was some sort of penalty? If you decide we are going to adopt this child, and then 3 years later you're like, you know what? I don't want this child anymore. Should there be some sort of penalty? $20,000, $50,000? And would that penalty either work, or could it harm the situation? For instance, a parent goes, I don't want to take this kid, but I can't afford the penalty. So now they're going to keep the kid and feel anger towards the child, even more so. Now they're going to be raising the kid in probably a worse situation because they can't get rid of the kid because of the penalty they'll face. You see what I'm talking about here?
So, very simple. A lot of these parents, it's not necessarily like biological or adoptive parents just don't want them in some cases. So, if we talk about that, Jen in Kentucky in chat brought up a point that I talk about a lot, and that is we have child protective services in every single state. And those services get government funding, which then go to all these different services, but not for the parent of the child necessarily. Like, we need to provide more services through, if we're going to have these services that are getting government funding already, a lot of that funding should be going to some programs for the parents to assist them with not having to give their kids up into the foster care system, right? Not having kids get taken away from their parents because they have financial issues or something. If we're going to pay foster parents to keep kids, right? The funding's going out. You're already paying for it. Why is that going to a foster parent and not to keep the kid at home?
Would you like me to comment on that, or did you have, like, I don't want to interrupt you if you have more than one point, or I could go ahead and address what
I'm
you're
saying
saying.
that, like, this is not like a one topic thing. There's a lot of reasons
I
kids
understand.
get. You have to go through this one thing at a time. It's a
I
lot.
understand. Okay, well, let's talk about that. I think there are a lot of programs already out there. It's going to depend state by state, obviously. But there are a lot of programs out there. There are a lot of programs for single parents. There's programs that help get babysitting, stuff like this, so that you can go to work. There's programs that help with mental health counseling for not only you but your child, for family counseling and therapy, so that you and the child can figure out ways to coexist, work better, have a better relationship, grow as a family, so on and so forth. There are a lot of options out there. People have to be willing to search them out, find them, and try to use them.
Yeah,
Maybe they're not always the best, I'm sure, but there are a lot of options out there.
Jen says, I can't get my clients in a parenting class unless they have some type of CPS involvement. That's bullshit. And a lot of the programs that actually address issues often require waivers that can take years to get. It sounds like maybe lifting the bureaucracy and the red tape might help.
Class
I feel like
without
maybe there should
CPS
be more people in
involvement.
this conversation, like the people in chat. I don't know. Somebody asked earlier if it was just a panel of the three of us or what.
Oh,
And maybe
that's okay. Well, we hadn't agreed to come on and talk about
Yeah.
this together. Partially, I'm assuming to show that me and you can actually coexist in a little room together and not yell at each other.
I know we're best
Right?
friends now. We're best friends now. Remember?
So
Oh, hardly.
I think we could do that. I mean, I have some other things to talk about if you'd like, or I mean, like you said, there's multiple points we could talk about. Let's go through them. Let's discuss them. What type of regulations do you think should happen? I'll start a different way. From what I was looking up today, it seems to me that when people want to adopt, they want to adopt babies. There is a a supply and demand issue when it comes to adoption. The demand is for babies, but there's not a lot of supply of babies. And I think that's interesting. But when you get further into the older areas of these children, this is where I think this rehoming issue comes in. Is parents, these adopted parents, for whatever reason, they're having second guesses, they're having second thoughts. Again, maybe I got the lemon of the group. You know, they got lemon lawed, or they want a different model. They don't think it's the right fit. There's all sorts of there's cultural issues, there's racial issues, there's all sorts of issues. I think there was a list I saw earlier. It was like seven problems with adoption that like everybody's going to go through in the adoption period, and they're going to go through it throughout their entire life.
One of the things I was reading was that adopting very young children or infants is actually considered high risk and not recommended. At least in the literature that I've been looking at, if you're interested in adopting a child. That's not something that, I don't know, the industry or the community, I guess, Bam, would really steer people toward. But
what?
Did we lose you?
No, I'm here.
Bam, what is your opinion on couples that want to adopt babies instead of couples that want to adopt older children? Do you think there's a difference? Do you think they're choosing that for a reason? And do you think
Yeah,
one is
I
more?
think
Do you think one is more risky than the other?
I think couples that are looking to adopt babies are trying to replicate the traditional family, right? It's adoption should be focused on the children and not the parent. We have a parent focused adoption system. It's giving the parents what they want, right? But this should be focused on what children need. I don't know what kind of regulations, but maybe adoption should be some kind of single system or some kind of regulated system where people are matched with children. Instead, what we have is parents saving up asinine amounts of money hoping to get a baby, right? And then we have an overrun foster care system where kids are placed into foster care when they're toddlers or 5, 6 years old. These kids could be perfectly fine in these adoptive homes with these parents that are specifically looking for babies. Maybe there needs to be some counseling before adoption where parents understand what it's going to be like to potentially take a kid out of foster care versus taking a baby. Like that, I don't know what we do exactly. I don't. I just know that there's a problem and it needs a bigger discussion than just me.
I guess that's part of why I brought up the U.S. Marshal thing, is because I feel like federal law enforcement, FBI, and everybody is sort of trying to hone in on these criminal dealings and trying to do what they can. But I mean, do you think this Facebook stuff flies under the radar? I guess it must.
It does, because like I said, there is a very easy path to just handing your children over to somebody else, and that's through these um, temporary guardianship things. And I have experience with temporary guardianship stuff, and I don't want to talk about that on stream. I can talk to you guys privately after stream if you want about that. But I do know that it's a very simple process. It's a form you fill out, and that's it. You just have a form that I believe it gets what do you call it when you have to make it official, stampy thing.
Oh. Notarized.
Notarized, yes. There's
So
no background check to it, though. There's absolutely no background check to it.
Well, I was gonna say, is your social security number part of that? It does it differ state by state.
Right. Jen said guardianship is a form that gets notarized. It doesn't require a background check. You just sign the thing saying, yes, you get to keep my kids for a year, and then you could do it again in another year.
So EOD might like this, and the chat might like this. I don't really know how I feel about it. Take what the left says about gun restrictions and put that onto adopted kids. Okay, national background checks. Maybe some sort of psychological vetting before you're able to get the firearm. I mean, the child. Something of this nature. Is that something that you would be interested in? Bam.
Absolutely. But it's cute that you managed to throw a dig at the left into a bipartisan conversation.
Well, it's I couldn't help but when I'm thinking about it, well, we could do, instead of it being done state by state, then we could it would have to be like a federal umbrella type of system that does national checks, kind of similar to like if you want to buy a firearm at a licensed dealer.
Yes. That it should be centrally regulated. Absolutely.
Sure, something like that. And then there's people that might say, well, we think that you should have, good reasons to own this sort of weapon, or maybe you should have psychological evaluations before you have something like this. The same thing could possibly be said for adoptive parents. We need to have psychological training. We need you to understand that if you adopt a kid, what's going to happen 5 years down the road if you decide, you know what, this is a little harder than I thought it would be. I'm just going to give up. I'm just going to move on. To me, I'm a father. I think that's horrific. The last thing I would do is not take care of my child. And I think there's a certain type of character flaw that allows you to just not take care of your child. Whether it be your biological child, or if you decide that you are going to take on the obligation to adopt a child, then you should feel that same way. Sure, you're going to have hard times with your child. There's going to be times where you want to wring their fucking necks. 100%. Right? But that doesn't mean you get to give up when things get rough.
Yeah.
When things get tough, you don't get to give up. You don't get to call the adoption place and say, take this child back. Hey, leave the lizard alone. You don't get to, take the child back to the adoption place. Say, this is tough this month. This is getting a little frustrating, and they hit puberty, and I don't want to deal with it.
Right.
You don't get to do that.
There are services for parents who have extreme problem children without rehoming the kid. There are, group homes that they can go to while you are still, the group home takes care of whatever emotional, psychological issue.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
100%.
And it's like a temporary placement because it's it's a problem at home where the parents can't handle it.
Yeah, it's like a rehab, but for behavioral or mental issues.
My brother went to one of the two of those.
I'm extremely familiar with what you're talking about, more than you'll know. But this is where I come in. How do we fix that? Now, is there a simple psychological examination where they sit down with the parents and try to get them to understand these are the hard facts that you don't get to walk away? Or do we put on some sort of penalty if you do walk away to try to disincentivize that? You know what I mean?
I mean, I think another big problem that was even mentioned in the video is a lot of these kids are adopted from out of the country, right? We have parents going to other countries because it's cheaper or easier, whatever the case is. And we'd have to somehow regulate people bringing babies into the country too.
Yeah, I did see a video when I was looking at this today, and I didn't get long to look at it today. I worked today, so there, maybe on my lunch break I watched a video and a driving to and from, something like that. But there was a video called like immigration adoption or something like that, where I think it had to do with a lot of what you're saying, bringing babies in from other countries as as an adoption method. Again, I guess I can only go back to what we're talking about. The idea of this rehoming, I think, is pretty sick. I think we should be able to protect these children more. I think we all know that there are predators out there, and instead of having it a parent, especially an adopted parent, just go, you know what, I'm going to sign this away because I don't want to deal with it anymore, and sign it away to who? Some rando on Facebook, some rando that you meet on the internet. This is a very, very shady system.
And even when it is legal and it's done through these channels, these kids are staying in group homes for potentially years. Like that kid had been in a group home for 2 years, and every time he gets, sent to somebody's house for a trial period, I understand that you have to have a trial period, but imagine emotionally what that does to that child. You can't. They're immature. They don't understand. They're gonna be like, oh, maybe that kid looked happy. He looked excited. He's like, I'm gonna sell myself. This guy is taking me home. I have a chance here. And then 6 months into it, 6 months feels like a long time to trial period a child.
I don't know, but let me just weigh in on a couple of things. The first of which is this idea of trying to propose some sort of legislation or a regulatory fix. If there's nothing stopping you from signing guardianship over your child to a convicted pedophile, I'd say that was a huge failure of the state. So I think if you're gonna sign over guardianship, there should be a background check involved. I feel like that's a reasonable step. But then, bam, I think not. Also, I would say that the people who are posting pictures of these kids don't have legal guardianship over them technically. I mean, at least they wouldn't in this case if this was a federally mandated law. And then the FBI could go after the Facebook pages and shut them all down on the basis of them, illegally sharing pictures of minors that they don't have guardianship over. At least that addresses some of the issues, right. But then I think you're also talking about like a mental and emotional impact on the kids that are going through the system, and then other ways of managing the system need to be sort of instituted and what do we say, conventionalized, right? Am I reading that right?
Right. And really quick, I want to address, it's not the new guardians posting the kids online. It's the adoptive parents. These people who have legal adoption of these kids are posting them on Facebook groups, asking people if they want their kids.
It just seemed like they had like a catalog.
They might.
So that might have been, there is one group on Facebook that does second adoptions, like legally, and they might have a catalog. I forgot the name of it. It's in the other video. If you want to watch that later, but there are, it's like this one big. I think what happened is this one big rehoming group that does it through legal channels made a Facebook group, and then now there's like copycat groups that aren't doing it through legal channels. And the FBI should be going after those Facebook groups, and they're not.
Well, I'll move past all the FBI jokes I just had rolling around in my head.
I'd be surprised if they're not at least aware of what's going on. There must not be any way for them to legally prosecute. Otherwise,
Well, that's the problem then, isn't it?
right.
Yeah, again, we could point to this being an issue. I'm trying to see what sort of solution you might be able to come up with. Like I think all three of us would probably agree the idea that if you adopt a kid, that then you can just go online and say, you know what, I don't want to adopt. Who wants this child? Throw up a couple pictures, and then
list them on Craigslist. That's pretty fucked.
exactly. Post them on Craigslist or something. Put them on Facebook Marketplace, and somebody comes and says, yeah, I'm interested. Maybe you have a little conversation, and then you just file them over. No background checks, no going to check out their home, no looking at the stability. Are they a stable couple? Are they a couple at all? How long have they been married? What type of jobs do they have? What type of income do they have? Can they support it? Like, are any of these things looked at, managed? You know what I mean? So the idea that you could just go online and put your kid up there on the internet and sign them away is pretty unbelievable to me. I'm pretty sure that none of us here agree with that. And if you do, feel free to let me know, EOD.
No, I definitely don't.
No, that's why I shared it, because I know that this is something across the board that we can agree on, right? Nobody's gonna have an argument about this one. We might argue about what the solutions are, but nobody is going to say this is a great idea.
Sure. I agree. I think we all think this is bad. We might have arguments on what the solutions might be, or some of the other things that I was bringing up. But yeah, on the basic point of the rehoming like video, yeah, I think we can all admit that's probably not the proper way things should be handled. EOD?
Well, again, I feel like that's only one aspect of it. And Bama, I don't know. Did we hear any a solution from your point of view, or?
Well, there's so many issues here, right? So like this temporary guardianship thing. Why is this just a form you fill out and get notarized? That's insane. No kids should go over, get guardianship transferred for them on a notarized piece of paper with no regulation to it. So there's one issue, right? If you're handing guardianship over to somebody that you know and trust, there should be no problem doing background checks and having this run through some kind of system. I feel like you guys, you're like, I looked this up and looked at and researched, and I did not know that that's this was, and I feel so unprepared for this conversation.
Well, not really. I mean, I looked up the laws during the video. Like, it was just a 4-second thing. And then I looked up another couple of articles here. This one ended up being international, so it's not very applicable. And then that's all I found was those two things.
I feel like
while the video was going,
come up with a little solution here and there, like some ideas here and there, but to me, it's such a big issue that this is why I've been trying to talk to people about this. This needs to be talked about. There needs to be discourse about it so we can think of solutions. This is not something where one mind can come up with an answer. I can't come up with an answer by myself, but an answer needs to come out of something.
Well, that's I guess that's that's one reason I wanted to point out the two different things that you brought up and that you spoke about a little bit. And you say that there's several others as well. I'm sure. I'm sure there are. But I don't know. I mean, to me, adoption is always going to be traumatic. I don't think there's anything that we can do to sort of prevent that. You know, if you lose your parents in a car accident or if they disown you, either way, it's gonna suck. So, and trying to deal with a good way of finding a permanent home for you, you know, has got to involve some level of relationship building. I mean, of course it does. How could it not? So, I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to do about that one. I mean, I get it. Yeah. Going to a place for 6 months thinking you're going to live there forever and then finding out, well, maybe that didn't quite work out. To be fair, Bam, I mean, these are people that we're talking about, the children themselves. They're flawed. Some of them may be, you know, unconsciously lashing out inappropriate times with an inappropriate amount of anger on a regular basis. And then suddenly, you know, a single mother who thought she wanted to adopt or a young family who's never had any experience raising kids is suddenly like, whoa, we weren't ready for this. We thought it was going to be rainbows and cupcakes, and it's not. Just like DBO saying, sometimes you have those Bart Simpson moments, you know?
Right. And as a parent, and I'm sure DBO, I mean, you've already said you agree. You've gone through behavioral issues with your kids. You don't give up on them. And if these people are unprepared for that, then they shouldn't be adopting in the first place, right? If you're going to be an adoptive parent, you're a fucking parent, period. You don't get to give up on your kids. There are services available for problem children where, like DBO said, he understands what I'm talking about. These facilities that you send your kids to when they have issues. You don't give them, you don't get rid of them. You send them somewhere that can handle what they're going through. Right? It's not they lose their parent. They just go somewhere to get the help they need.
I'm a full-time single dad because the mother of my child did give up. She did.
And
it's terrible.
And
It's terrible that you know the issues that you're talking about an adopted kid is going to have that feeling of abandonment or something like that. My daughter's going to go through that. That's tough. And it's going to be tough for any adopted kid, you know, especially if you go through the gauntlet of the foster system. Like you were saying, well, maybe you go to one house for 6 months and then you think that's going to be it. And then they give you up. And then you go to another house, then you go back to the foster home for a while. Then you parade yourself out like on a runway and wave your hand at the end, ha ha ha. And I play piano, and then some other kids some other parent, some other adult is like, you know what, I'll give that child a shot, and then they bring him home and hang out for 6 months, and they bring him back to the foster system. That's going to be extra worse. Because now this kid's going to be like, well, what is wrong with me? What am I doing wrong that I have to keep going to these different adults and keep getting abandoned? Everybody's giving up on me. This is going to leave a kid with a ton of emotional damage, depression, suicidal thoughts. Like, this is going to be horrible.
Right. Kids
And
that depend on a stable, structured lifestyle to
100%. And that sucks. That sucks, but that's just the reality of it. Okay. What we can do is try to, I think, vet these adopted parents better. When they're coming in, we should be able to vet them better, have better psychological testing, better sit down and figure out, are you guys stable? Is this really what you want? Go through a whole psychological eval on those parents and make sure that this is really what they want. Not this is what maybe the wife wants and the husband doesn't really want it, but he's trying to do it. to make the wife happy. You know what I mean? Like, you really got to dig in there and make sure this is something both these parents want, and figure out if they're willing to do it for the long haul, or are they going to give up. I think there could be better vetting, and that could possibly help. And of course, the idea of this rehoming thing, as we've already discussed, there should, at bare minimum, be background checks, not just some random people on the internet that you're giving children away to. But I don't know. I feel like we're kind of beating that horse to death. We can.
The beginning of the video, there was that one man that took that kid home for a trial period, and there's something he said that really disturbed me, and that was, "We'll try it out. If it doesn't work out, nothing lost, nothing gained." Right? That man is not looking to be a parent. That is not the attitude of a parent. There is something lost on that child.
100%. 100%. That's a very good point. That's the attitude of, like, maybe you're trying to foster a dog or something, like, oh, this dog is in bad shape, he needs to find a home. Well, you know what, I'll foster the dog, and if it works out and I decide to keep it, then great, I will. And if it doesn't, well, then I'm just the foster, I can give it away, find a forever home for the dog type of deal. That should not be your attitude going into adopting a human being.
Right. And even like, I just adopted 2 cats in February. Even with that process, you have 2 weeks to give them back and get your money back. Like, that is supposed to be the trial period. With dogs and cats is 2 weeks. Right. I understand what you're saying. That's the attitude people would have towards dogs. And yeah, along those lines, but I wouldn't even treat a dog like this, to be honest with you. I see your point, but it's insane to me that something I wouldn't do to an animal is being done to children.
I agree. I think maybe that's just, your compassion. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, I get that, but your point was, like, that attitude that he had going into adopting that kid was clearly not the right attitude to have. Like, just from what he said right there, we should probably be able to rule that guy out of adopting. Just with that statement that he made.
I don't understand what he wanted the child for, if that's his attitude of, like, that's not the attitude of a parent. Like, you're concerned about their well-being, not how it's impacted your life. Your children's life come first, right? How they're impacted comes first. And if your attitude is, if it doesn't work out, no big deal, right? You're talking about, it's no big deal for you to give this kid back. You're not considering the child in the first place.
Yeah, it's not a dog. That's for sure.
Yeah, but again, person in chat, I was in a foster home, wasn't a good situation at all. It was all about the money as usual. And I mean, how often is it going to be a good thing to be in an adoption home? Like we said, to go through that gauntlet of, trying to find, a correct household that you're going to be able to live in, your forever home, whatever you want to call it. And then you're trying to sell yourself, and then you get taken back. And then there's, like, none of this is good. The fact that you're in that situation anyway is not good, but I would rather you be in that situation than be dead because, you weren't given the chance at life at all. But that's
right.
probably
We're not saying, that I mean, just because something isn't the worst thing possible doesn't mean it's a positive experience and shouldn't be improved, right?
It should definitely be.
One of the issues we have with the adoption system is the amount that it costs to adopt a child, right? We're having people save up an insane amount of money to adopt a child, and I think the focus should be on not people pay for kids in this country, right? Grump talks about what his mother went through, and it cost her a lot of money. Um, it's there should be more of a focus on preparing parents to be adoptive parents and not how much can you pay. Like, obviously, we want parents who can afford to take care of their kids. That doesn't mean somebody should have to save up several $100,000 to get the kid.
Hey, this is a very good point that you're bringing up, and I'd like to talk about it. When you talk about these this type of situation with the money and how much it costs, I'm going to assume that this is a private adoption company. That is why they are charging so much. This isn't an adoption company ran through a state. A
Yes.
private adoption company will allow the parents to have certain options. They might say, well, I would like this. I would like the parents to be like this, or the parents to be like, that, or I want a certain type of skin color or hair color, or I would like this. It's more like it's like a build a baby worksheet, and then they're like, all right, well, we're gonna put together and try to find that child for you.
Like Gattaca.
Um,
Yeah.
So I think that's the difference. I think those are private adoption companies. And I think that works different than what I would assume a state-ran adoption company would be. I don't think a state-ran adoption company would be nearly the amount of money that you're talking about, as at least compared to a private.
Right.
adoption.
What I'm saying is these private run adoption. Like, I have a problem with the private run adoption agencies and how that works. And I don't, like I said, this should be a central regulated industry, not a for-profit industry for private companies or anything like this needs to be regulated. There are plenty of very good homes that kids could go to that these kids could be adopted out to that can't afford several $100,000 is my point. There should be a regulated central thing.
Well, can we hash that out a little bit? I mean, what exactly is your issue? Maybe I didn't pick up on it with the private firms. I mean, I'm assuming that these private firms help children get connected with parents. I'm assuming that because the parents have more of a selection or like a checklist of quite criterias that they want to meet, maybe they get connected with a child that they're more likely to keep, right? Um, so like what exactly again would be your issue with it?
You just called it a build a baby sheet, right? People are paying for um
Selective options,
right,
characteristics, things of the
right.
same.
So we could have children that are in the system adopted by good parents. If there was a central regulated system, then we wouldn't have um God, I'm losing my words. I'm sorry. This is making me really anxious because I was not expecting this to be part of a stream. Um
That's okay. I mean, listen, I'm not
Yeah, there's no pressure, man.
I'm not yelling at you or
Oh,
anything.
no, no, no. You're not. It's not you guys.
I'm not
It's not
I'm
you
not
guys.
being I'm not being aggressive. I'm
Oh,
not
no, no,
being
no, 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 no,
overly
no, not at all,
confrontational.
not
I
at
feel
all,
like we're
not at
having a
all.
reasonable
No,
conversation.
no, we are, we are. It's just, trying to gather my thoughts is making me anxious. You're being
Okay.
very reasonable. You guys are great. I'm just trying, like, when I'm asked a question, trying to gather my
That's
thoughts is
okay. I tell you what, gather your thoughts. I got to take a quick leak. I'll be back. Okay.
Hmm. I feel like some more people that are in chat that are talking about this should join the conversation because to me, this is about brainstorming what could be done, not asking me directly what I want to do because I don't know. I don't know all the solutions, and it's something that I just want a lot of discourse around. Right? It's
Sure. I mean, DB was just trying to come at it from a average
No,
conservative
no,
perspective.
no. I'm not. It's not him that's the problem. I'm just saying it. Like, it'd be nice to have more voices in here.
Okay. Well, let's wait for DBO to come back, and we can move down to the open chat.
Jump in.
Yeah. Sorry, I sort of reserved myself to a little bit of a moderator role.
Sometimes you mumble, and I can't hear the end of your sentences.
I said, sorry, I've sort of resigned myself to a moderator role.
Oh, well, me and DVO are doing great.
Yeah.
We're buddies. We talked in DMs a lot, so when I say that we're buddies, like, we've been talking.
You're not being facetious?
Mm-mm. You always think I am, too.
Just check it. You never know with people on the internet. It's not you. Yeah.
There is.
All right, DBO, we're gonna go ahead and move into the live chat and try to open. DBO, we're gonna go ahead and move into the live chat and try to open the floor to some other people. So, you good with that?
I think I can survive.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
Oh, I just noticed this is called a torture chamber. Accurate.
It's because it's isolated from everyone else.
Mhm.
Oh goodness. There we go. All right. I'll see you guys there in a second. Okay. So, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and move into live chat. If anybody wants to join, please do. Let's try and liven things up a little bit. Maybe hit things on a bit more of a happy note if we can. Jen, surely to goodness, you're more than welcome. You seem to know a lot about this, so and whatever Karen as well. If you guys want to join, please.
I better say the right thing.
All right.
I get it.
I have extended an invitation
So-
to.
Not the agencies directly is the problem. I think that my point was just that the entire system should be centralized to make sure that everything's regulated properly. I don't mean to say that these companies are abusing it. I don't want there to be a for-profit system to get children into families. I just want it to be a very well-regulated singular system so we know what's happening to all these, just so we're tracked. Did you guys happen to look up the number of children, the foster children in the country that have gone missing, like on a yearly basis? The numbers are crazy.
But I mean, you place that solely on the for-profit adoption
No. That's
system.
not what I'm saying.
No?
No, not at all. I'm saying that, like, there's nothing is a singular issue here, right? When he's asking, that was a separate point. When he's asking me what problem I have with the private private adoption agencies, it's a for-profit system. Feels a little gross to me. But the bigger issue isn't them existing. It's that I feel like there should be a centralized system, one system that gets kids into families that's properly regulated, because as it is right now, not even the foster system is properly regulated. There's a lot of neglect going on with children who are in either adoption or foster system.
Well, see, okay, so in the foster system, this is one of the two things I did look up. It is regulated. It's pretty heavily regulated on who gets to take custody of the children, right? So if we're talking about like the background check and making sure there's no history of neglect or child abuse or anything, any kind of violent history at all. If there's any kind of violent history at all, it actually becomes a problem for CPS. This happened to my brother quite recently.
Isn't that, though, they just do a state background check?
It varies state to state. In this state, it requires both a federal and a state background check. But it wouldn't matter. My brother's a convicted felon. That was the problem.
That'll do it.
Yeah. So, in fact, I think they were just trying to take guardianship of his girlfriend's kids, and that ended up becoming an issue. And she ended up losing some of her parental rights. She got partial visitation as a result of that. But it went further than just the guardianship. Is the fact that my brother was staying there, and that was the problem.
Yeah, they won't. If there's any people in the house with problems, right? What should be happening is just the foster parents need to be held accountable by, like, there needs to be more welfare checks. Like, we need to make sure these children in foster care are okay on a regular basis, and when there's a missing child, that should be an indicator that these people can't take care of these kids. You have missing kids, that's a problem. And the numbers for children missing from the foster system, like, there's a graph that shows it by state, but overall it's pretty good.
I'm curious as to how that works. Do you think that they are missing just that this was poor parenting, that something bad has happened to the kid, that this kid was sold, or do you think that this is something like the kid is in an adoption system, maybe he doesn't like it, the kid runs away from home, then is reported missing, and people
I'm
are
sure
like,
there's
wow,
not one.
there's a lot
I'm
of
sure-
missing kids in the adoption
I don't think there's one reason for this, right? I think that kids are being trafficked. I think kids are running away. I think kids are being abused. I think there's a lot of reasons. What I believe is that there should not be this many missing children.
Okay. EOD, do you have, what are your feelings on the private adoption system? Do you feel like I was bringing up some interesting points?
Well, I think that there's a way to regulate without excluding a private adoption system. If anybody wants to be selective for any particular reason, I don't think it's incumbent upon the government to prevent them for whatever proclivities they may have toward any particular direction. But I don't agree with just putting up an ad on Facebook Marketplace or fucking Craigslist. I think that's pretty disgusting.
Sure. Sure, yeah.
I mean, if that's what we're talking about when we're talking about private adoption agencies, then yeah, that's a fucking problem that needs to be addressed.
I don't think that's what we're talking about. I think that's more the rehoming thing that we were talking about.
Right. But that's
the private adoption system. I think Jen said something about it in the chat, like a state.
She said state adoption can be about $2,000, but the average cost for adoption in the United States can be $15,000 to $40,000. So it sounds like people are preferring to go to private agencies. Yeah. So like I say, I think there's a way to regulate that and do that in a way that's beneficial not only to the children to be in a more, fulfilling environment, rather than one where they're playing with toys that had broke long ago and shit like that, or sleeping on beds that had broke long ago, or whatever.
I'm curious as to why,
or being cramped in a room and not having enough real estate, what have you.
Agreed. I think I'd be very curious to see why, or the reasons given that people are going with the private adoption more than the state. Do you think it is like red tape, bureaucracy, the hoops that they got to jump through when it comes to doing something through state government? And it's easier?
I think it's what you said, where they get a designer child.
So they get to kind of pick the certain characteristics. And if that's the case, honestly, I'm not sure how much I'm against that. Like, if this is what they want, and perhaps if it's getting exactly what they want, hold on, here we are. If they're getting exactly what they want, maybe, and they're willing to pay good money for that, maybe that means that these parents are very financially set and stable, that they could fork out that much money. That means the child's probably going to go to a house that's very financially stable, possibly well off, upper middle class. the parents might be more likely to keep the child instead of rehoming it later on because they're getting kind of exactly what they were looking for in the first place. You know what I mean? Perhaps that's not such a terrible thing.
I mean, I guess Steve and I are trying to look at this from a legislative perspective, and maybe Bam, you're looking at it more from a societal or moral perspective. And it's like, yeah, it is kind of disgusting from a moral perspective to want to be particularly selective and to, turn your nose up simply because a child might be on the autism spectrum, or simply because they have or some other sort of disability or anything like that. And
my perspective is about making the adoption process more desirable for pregnant single mothers and stuff. That's what I'm looking at. There's all these problems in the adoption industry, and I just feel like I have a lot of stuff that I want to say that's kind of private. That would.
That's fine. You don't have to. If it's if you're not
there's a lot
comfortable going down that road, then we don't have to. I would like to say, this is one of the reasons I brought this up earlier, is that the supply and demand for newborn babies and adoption. There's more demand for newborn babies. Like when it turns out when people or couples want to adopt, they often seem to want to adopt babies. And there's more people willing to adopt babies than there are babies to adopt. So I think if it's like a pregnant mom that is ultimately leaning towards going the adoption route, I'm not seeing how like there's not a market, for that. I feel like there should be a pretty easy time getting somebody to take a look at that newborn infant as an adoption because of the supply and demand factor that I'm talking about. It keeps getting very quiet after I make a point, and I'm not sure if I'm making a very stupid point.
No, it's not at all. It's not at all.
I don't think women are choosing. I think that we want to avoid women choosing not choosing the adoption route and going for something else because of a lack of desirability to put their child into the adoption, because of the trauma that they go through and their worries about their children. I feel like this needs to be a more desirable approach to unwanted pregnancies. That's one issue, right? And then we need to be taking care of the children. This is so much at once. Hi, Heavy Fisted. Do you have something to say?
Yes and no. And hi.
How's it going, Evie?
Hello, Heavy Fisted.
All right, there's never going to be a perfect model where people, and where children don't fall through the cracks. That just will not exist.
Mm-hmm.
There will never be a system where children don't go missing. And my problem with the paid for adoption shit is that you can put in disclaimers like, well, you can discriminate based upon religious belief on different things. These things aren't set up to place the children in the best home. It's not for the best of the children. It's the best of an ideology or a group benefit. I mean, you see numerous states where these agencies can just say who and who doesn't get, even though you may have a good set of parents here, their beliefs don't fall in line with the organization, so they're denied. Maybe the situation is, instead of allowing separate, basically making little groups of adoptees, have a central database that everybody works out of, both the state and private organizations. So that way every child is having an opportunity to be looked at, instead of pick and choose depending on where you go.
I could agree with
All
that.
this major reform benefits society as a whole, right? We don't want a bunch of children who are just being traumatized over and over and over again. We want like what is it? There's insane rates of children from the foster care system ending up in prison, right? We want functional members of society to come out of this, and I don't think there's enough services for foster and adopted children, is my point. We need to figure out how to we can't fix it's not I don't want a perfect solution here, right? I mean, ideally everybody does, but there is no perfect solution, but there are improvements that could be made.
I am very curious as to what those stats might be. Like, as a conservative, you often hear stats like single parent children are X% more likely to not graduate high school, X% more likely not to go to college, X% more likely to wind up in prison, you know? So I would wonder what those stats would look like for an adoption situation, for an adopted kid, and kind of compare the two between an adopted kid and a parent, a single parent household child.
Okay.
Well, then I'm just wondering. Say you have a single parent coming in to look for to adopt a child. Would you be agreeable to that, to take them out of the system of foster care, where they're, one of many in a household, to give them an opportunity, even though it may not be as high of a percentage of success or a successful future as a two-parent home? It's still going to be higher than a one parent being higher than a foster home where you have multiple people.
I think that's an interesting conversation to have. Again, I would like to look at, maybe those two stats side by side. But I think maybe you're onto something. I think maybe being in a loving, hopefully loving, single parent household might be better than being in some sort of a foster home, foster care type of facility. Sure, maybe that is the case.
Well, then it takes volunteers. It's another one of those supply and demand issues. I think part of the reason foster homes end up overcrowded and whatnot is because there's not that many foster parents, right?
Well,
so
I think there's not that many foster parents. There's not that many parents that want to adopt. I don't know, older kids. Again, there's more parents that want to adopt babies than babies for adoption.
Sure. Well, see, I think
there seems to be something that changes as the child gets older, that there's not enough parents that want to adopt older kids.
This may have something to do with that. I'm trying to sit here and think about this from a more positive light. Okay, like, we keep pointing out all of the problems that exist. Like, how is this supposed to work? How is it that we don't have some of the solutions that we're talking about that seem completely and utterly common sense to all of us? You know what I mean? And so I want to go through and sort of verify that those don't exist. That's all I'm trying to do is just confirm our assumptions here. And
sure.
What I'm finding here is this is a program specifically for pregnant mothers who want to put their baby up for adoption before the baby is born. And there are 3 different ways of doing this. One of them is that the birth mother can have a relationship with the potential adoptive parents prior to the child's birth. And the other one is when they have contact during her pregnancy, and they usually meet in person before or right after the birth. But after the adoptive parents send updates so you can be aware of how the child is when they grow. And then in a closed adoption, they don't have any contact with anybody at all. So there are definitely ways to adopt a baby straight out of the birthing room, essentially. And it seems like this is not one of the things that we're pointing at as a problem, and it seems that there are several reasonable ways to go about this, and they seem perfectly fine to me. But then if we focus on foster care, right? I haven't actually looked into this yet, or how any of this works, but surely to goodness, there's protections for these kids. I mean, there has to be, right, Bam? But
there has to be
protections for the kids. Yeah, I mean, it's not all just what do we call that, home swapping or whatever.
Home swapping.
No. There are plenty of children who have been adopted who have a happy life, right? We're not saying this is a problem for every single adoptee.
Yeah. But I mean,
God. There is an anecdote there's a reason why I care so much about this that I've been avoiding talking about because we're on stream, but I guess I'm just going to say it. So my mother put her twin children up for adoption. They were born a year and a few months after I was. Well, she didn't put them up for adoption necessarily. I was in the hospital with meningitis, and the social worker that came in offered my mom a place to live if she gave up the children she was pregnant with for adoption to a family she knew that was looking to adopt. Now, that really messed my mom up. She ended up getting pregnant again by her second husband before they were married. In that time, she chose abortion. And so I don't know what happened to my brothers. I put up my DNA on two of those DNA testing things, 23andMe and Ancestry.com or whatever, just in case, putting it out there in case they do it. She was pressured into it, right? She had nowhere to go. We were living in a shelter at the time. My mother's not from this country. She had no resources in this country. What's funny?
They're calling me a home swapper.
We're so sorry. We're so sorry.
No, you're not. Fuck you guys.
We're making fun of VOD in the chat. So sorry.
It's my bad. I'm trying to pay attention to a few things at once, Bam. It's my bad.
Yeah, we're multitasking. My apologies as well.
But you said that you're right. You haven't been able to find your twin brothers, and that you've put up the thing on 23andMe and whatnot. I think there are groups on Facebook where you can try to hunt people down. That might be good. I don't know.
Let me put it on Facebook. Somebody know these kids?
No.
You gotta get the internet sleuths.
You don't know their names, or?
Honestly, there is no connection where I could find out who these people are anymore. Both the woman who took us in and her daughter, who was the one that knew the family looking to adopt, they're both dead. I don't have any connection to the adoptive family anymore. And because it was privately done just in the hospital right away, I don't even know where to start looking, and I don't know if I should start looking, because what if these kids don't know they're adopted? I mean, kids, they'd be 37 now, 36 now, but I don't know what happened to them. And I'm seeing like all this horrific stuff on adoption, and it's just.
Well, it's harrowing to think that your family might have gone through that.
I know it's not a perfect system, but I do not believe that there should have been an adoption done that was completely untraceable like that, right? I don't believe that adoptive parents necessarily should have the resources to just get their kids' information on a whim, but there should be some way that you understand what's happened to the future of your children. The family can have that peace of mind.
Definitely.
Now, I don't mean
right
to go back and clarify. Did you say that these were your siblings?
Yeah,
Okay.
they were twins, boys.
So I think what you're bringing up highlights the biological connection that people have. I mean, these are your siblings, your brother and your sister,
No, two
twins,
brothers.
two brothers. Sorry, I for some odd reason assumed. Um, it to me it shows that. So like you have that connection, like you clearly feel a certain way about it. You're interested in finding them and making that connection with your biological family, right? And this is going to be the same thing that adopted kids feel. You know what I mean? Maybe they didn't know their parents at all. And then later on in life, when they figure out that they were adopted or were adopted and then gave back and then rehomed and then readopted and so on and so forth, I think there's always going to be that biological urge and connection to want to connect to your biological family, you know, your blood. And I think that's interesting. I think that's a part of human nature. Some people I think can get over that, but I think it's a very strong urge in most human beings. But thank you for sharing that story. I think what you're feeling is completely natural, and I think you should continue
Searching for sure.
Continue the hunt.
I hope you find him.
You know,
It's going to be difficult.
In my situation, I am worried about how it would impact them to know who their biological mother was. My biological mother is not, she's not a healthy person, and so I put my DNA out there in case they start looking and they want to reach out. I want them to have. I want them to be able to facilitate that, right? If they want to contact, but I've struggled with this idea of going and looking for them because the trauma that I'd bring to them when they found out about their family potentially could be harmful, I guess.
But that's an interesting way to look at it. I think what you're doing is like a very good first step, right? Like you saying, like I'll put my DNA out there in case they decide to look, like
Yeah.
they could find me. I might have a problem with searching myself because, like you said, you might think that when you do find them, if you start telling them stuff about, the reality of what happened at that time, that they might hurt. But stop it. But that's just the reality of it. Like they might get hurt. You're right. They might find closure in what you tell them. They might find closure. They might find a long lost sibling that they can connect with and hopefully have a good relationship with. And maybe it is more positive than the negative that you're thinking about.
Right. It's not really about the circumstances. I'm sure that's something that could be worked through. I don't necessarily want my mother to potentially have access to these people. And she has access to me. I've gotten pretty far away from her physically, so she has less access to me now, but she does have access to me. She knows where I am. She can call me anytime, and I don't want her to have access to these people without them.
Yeah, but Pam, you're a grown adult. Like if you don't want to talk to your mother, you just don't do it.
It's not that I don't want to talk to my mother. It's that I'm worried about somebody else having a relationship with her. It's like I want to protect them from her. I don't need protection from her.
Okay,
But
well, I mean, you don't think that you can talk to them without your mom knowing, or do you think your mom's gonna
no,
find
it's not that. It's not that. It's just a worry. It's not like I'm definitely not going to allow them to talk to her. It's just something that's concerning to me that I think about, that I'm like, should I push this or should I just let it happen if it happens by what I've already done? Right? It's just, something something that I consider when I think about this stuff. Do I want her to have access? I don't want her to have access to them, but that might be selfish.
But you're worrying about her not having access is stopping you from having access. It seems like.
I'm saying it's complicated, and I'd rather put out information for them to find me than for me to actively seek them out. right? If they're looking for their birth family, I want them to have access to that. But I don't know what their situation is. I know how I feel about meeting them. I don't know how they feel about meeting me and how all the circumstances could impact them if they did. So
I understand. I think I look at it from a different standpoint just because of my personal relationships. Like, you know what I mean? Like I pretty much hate my mother. I refuse to talk to her and have throughout most of my life. You know what I mean? Like I don't really talk to my brother either. I talk to my sister. My sister would sometimes talk to my brother and my mom, but we don't really mix very well at all. You know what I mean? Like I'll talk to my sister all the time. I haven't talked to my mom or my brother, but maybe a handful of times in the last 10, 15 years, you know?
Well, Alessa has a decent suggestion. He says you don't have to tell them anything about your mom or any of that stuff that happened. You know.
Well, that's
I understand that. I understand that.
That was kind of
That's
my
not
point.
what the concern is.
Yeah.
That's not what the concern is. Telling them stuff about her. Say they don't know if they want to know their birth family. Say that they're on the that it maybe not, and I seek them out and I kind of push this thing on them. This, well, you were thinking about maybe, and now I'm here. I'm here, so be a part of this. And I don't know. I feel like it's best in my situation for me to give them access to me instead of me looking to access them. I don't know what their circumstances are. Nobody has any information about where they went or what happened to them. But they could have a good life. And if they want to, there's a lot of people don't want to meet their birth parents when they've been adopted. It's very common. And I don't want to push that on anybody.
I
I don't know. I mean,
I wonder what that percentage is.
saying hello and giving somebody a call or a text isn't really pushing anything. Like I think we might be related. If you're interested in exploring that, let me know.
There's also the issue where I already stated there's no way for me to look.
Do you know what state they were adopted in?
The state that I live in. But
Do you know if the state allows the adoptee, rather, the child to look up or to access records of their adoption or where they were, that format? Like here in the state of Alabama. Because I've dealt with the same thing. I've got a half black brother that I've never met. And he was put up for adoption. Here in the state of Alabama, you're not allowed to access any kind of information if you are the family members of the person putting up the child for adoption. Yet, if you're the adopted child, all the resources available.
Rob.
I don't know. I think it depends on the adoption, right? I think it's
it's going to differ from state to state, as I'm pretty sure is what he's saying.
Right, and all you can really do is put things out there. They've got to make the choice. Through every party involved in this is an adult. All you can really do is, let them initiate first contact, whoever it may be within the family. May it be your mom, may it be you, whoever, and cross those bridges when you get there.
right. And like I said, this wasn't done through an agency, so there's no specific resource that I can go to. I don't know the names of the adopted parents. I don't know my brother's names. I don't know anything, and the people that did know have now passed away. Years and years ago when I was very young, they passed away. So I wouldn't know where to start. That's why I did the DNA things. I figure in 2023, when people are looking, that when adopted kids are looking, that's probably the modern, first step.
I don't know, Bam. It feels like you got mixed feelings on it.
Who, me?
No, Bam.
Oh,
It seems like you have mixed feelings on it. I think you should do some more maybe soul searching on it and figure it out. Like if that's
Yeah.
ultimately where you line, then I think that's fine. I think either decision you make is fine. I don't think there is a right and a wrong decision when it comes to this. If you feel like searching them out, then I think that's fine. And if you feel like, you know what, I'm not going to search them out, but I'm going to put my info out there in case they want to search me out, I think that's fine. If you say, you know what, I don't know these people, I don't care to have any relationship with them, and I'm not even going to put my stuff out there so they can find me, ultimately, I think that's fine too. I think this is all your decision, but you seem to have some what's the word I'm looking for? You seem to have
Apprehension?
turmoil, yeah, some inner turmoil about it. You know what I mean? So I don't
Yeah,
know.
this is
Think about what you do, man. I hope you figure it out.
yeah, it's complicated. You know, I've taken one step. We'll see if I take another. But
Yeah, I'm sure.
again, this ties back into why I started researching. Well, you know, I was researching adoption agencies and like things just kept popping up. I wasn't looking for what are bad things in it. You know, I was just researching adoption processes and stuff, and I started finding things kept coming up that I didn't like. And this is not about my brothers anymore. This is about a bigger issue to me.
Sure.
That's just what led me into the, you know, finding out about this stuff.
Sure.
Why isn't Grump here if he's in chat?
I was gonna say we got a Grumple in the chat. I think it's been a very productive discussion, you guys, and I feel like we're getting a little too close to personal shit for Bam. So why don't we shift over to something that's a little more innocuous?
Thank you.
Sounds good to me.
But thank you for sharing your experiences with us, Bam. I'm sorry that's the way things are, but I know you'll find your way through it. It'll be all right.
Anything in particular you want to talk about?
Well, obviously the news of the day is that Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon got fired, but nobody seems to care in here. I don't know. We haven't heard anything from Heavy on it.
We hit it briefly when we got here.
Yeah, we did.
You know, I don't think I've ever met like a Tucker Carlson like extremist stan. Like nobody loves Tucker Carlson enough that they're super upset that he got fired.
Well, it's just because he's not silenceable, I don't think. Somebody's going to pick him up. It's just a question of who.
Yeah.
100%. I personally, unlike a lot of people that were talking about this in the chat, they were saying they're not a fan. I like Tucker Carlson. I think he comes off very genuine, very down to earth. I've listened to a very long form interviews, not where he's just on like mainstream news and he has little segments. I've listened to him like sit down and have long conversations. I think he was on Joe Rogan, you know, where he sits down and has long conversations with people, and you really get to see his personality, who he is, and how he thinks about stuff. I like the guy. He comes off very genuine, and yeah, I liked his show. It was about the only thing I would watch on Fox.
I mean, talking heads come and go. They move from channel to channel. I'm not really seeing the big hubbub about it because, you know, they're going to land somewhere else. I mean, he's tired of dealing with the situation. I mean, there is a bit of difference. Don Lemon was given the boot, so you know.
Well, apparently, Mediaite reported that Tucker wasn't a voluntary separation either.
Hey,
who reported that?
Mediaite. Yeah.
Maybe Don Lemon just wasn't in his prime anymore. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, if you've been paying attention to Don Lemon, he's had situations of sexual misconduct and being abusive to staff members and all that for what, a couple of years now.
Come on, for the love of God, tell me somebody got that joke.
What joke?
Mm-hmm.
They have the prime thing. He just got in trouble for saying like a female politician wasn't in her prime.
Yes. Yep, I remember that.
And say, wow, it just flew right over your head, huh? Flew right over your head.
Not really. I don't give a shit about Don Lemon.
That wasn't the only thing he said. He said something about women not being as strong as men, and they shouldn't allow trans women in sports.
It's the most base thing I've heard him say.
I know, that's what everybody was saying. And then he came out and
I saw a clip where he was talking. Never mind. I saw a clip where he was talking about some other stuff about 13 years ago. That was pretty. That was pretty interesting as well. So.
I'm sure.
I did, Nikki Haley. Okay, well, yeah, I'm glad somebody got the joke. I was hoping it didn't just fall flat like the rest of my jokes.
I don't know. I don't watch any of this stuff.
Oh, is it
I don't
2K?
watch any of this stuff. I just get, my boyfriend tells me about all the crazy stuff that happens. Like, what was that
man.
one that was like
You
jerking
didn't,
off?
you didn't hear what he
during-
said about the woman not being in her prime?
Nope.
Oh, it's pretty classic stuff. We should pull that. We should pull the
These people are all assholes to me.
the quote up. He was saying Nikki Haley shouldn't say something about somebody being in their prime because she's clearly not in her prime. And the women on the panel were like, "Whoa, buddy, whoa."
Yeah.
And he was like, "What? We all know women are in their prime, in their 20s, maybe their early 30s, and then they slip out of their prime." And the women on the panel were like, "What the fuck? Why
don't you just watch?"
It was it was pretty classic stuff.
Yeah, there it is.
He sounds great.
I know where I want to see the Tucker Carlson land. I do.
Oh yeah, is this the clip right here?
The View.
The View. That would be hilarious. I saw that fucking Babylon Bee article you posted.
I think it'd be good because it'd be like outnumbered over on Fox.
Oh yeah. No, it would be too balanced for them, dude. Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg would never fucking stand for that shit. They would be pulling their hair out by the end of the week.
Have you seen their cankles? They don't stand as it is.
The ladies on The View have called Tucker Carlson like a Nazi. I don't know how many times. There's no way he'd get a job there.
Yeah. Yeah, no fucking way.
All the talk about age makes me uncomfortable.
I don't know. I've been more.
I think it's the wrong road to go down. She says people.
I have been more a little paying attention to Executive Order Biden.
Yeah. Well, hold on. We got this quote from Don Lemon. Let's get through this.
Co-hosts, you know what? Why don't you just watch?
This whole talk about age makes me uncomfortable. I think it's the wrong road to go down. She says people, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you
That's
talking? Wait.
That's not according to me.
Prime for what?
It depends. It's just like prime. If you look it up, if you Google when is a woman in her prime, it'll say 30s and 40s.
It was at this moment that he realized he fucked up.
So I think she has to be careful about saying that politicians aren't in their prime.
You need to qualify. Are you talking about prime for like childbearing, or are you talking about prime for being president?
What the facts are. Google it. Everybody at home. When is a woman in her prime? It says 20s, 30s, and 40s. And I'm just saying Nikki Haley should be careful about saying that politicians are not in their prime. And
I mean, how daft do you have to be to say that when you're sitting in between two women that are in their 30s?
It's totally something DVO stupid ass would do. Come on, Don Lemon, you're supposed to be better than that.
I decided to Google it just because he swears up and down that's what happens when you Google, and no.
What do you mean, no? Oh, the prime?
Returns. Some of them say it, and then some of them say between 14 and 84, and some people say after the age of 50. Like, there's no...
Ladies, come on now. Come on.
I mean, there was no substance to what he was saying. He was trying to make a dig at fucking Nikki Haley is all that bullshit was.
My point was that he swore up and down that if you Google it, that's what Google will tell you, and that is not what Google tells you.
That's what I mean. He didn't even know. He was just guessing. Nikki Haley says, "A great day for women everywhere. Now let's get men out of women's sports. Past my prime lemonade."
I don't know. Like, I'll take the hot stance. I agree with Don Lemon.
Oh man, I think there's something to childbearing years, but I wouldn't say that a woman is past her prime because she's no longer able to bear children. So that's what I'll say.
Right, what are we talking about? Is the prime age for DBO to be attracted to them? Okay, that's the prime age for you to get an erection. Good job. It's such a stupid conversation. When are men in their prime? How about that?
When they're Richard Gere, George Clooney age.
Never.
Got a little bit of gray on the side to give you that sophisticated look.
Yeah. Yeah, when we were a little bit older, a little more mature, and we've made enough money.
Yep.
So, in other words, never.
No, that's not true at all. We prime differently than women. You know, we could prime a little older than you guys do, and you guys age like milk.
Oh God! Don't say
that. How old are you?
38.
It was 15 apparently.
You're 38.
Yeah.
We're the
Women-
same age.
Women are dairy, men are milk. Men rot after a certain age. Dairy goes from being good to being bad to fermenting into cheese and being good again and then down again. So at least you get a roller coaster ride. We're just straight down.
I'm not trying to be mean here, but I do feel like I still look younger than you, and we're the same age. So maybe your prime was a little earlier. If we're gonna go there, age like milk.
Well, maybe.
Hey, I think I found
The market for men and women are different.
I think I found a artist for Twisted Aviator.
Oh, did you know?
Did you see designer got charged with indecent exposure on a plane, showing his magic stick to the flight attendant with a bottle of Vaseline?
Oh my God.
Wait a minute, what?
Isn't he like a what do you call it, rapper? The codeine cough medicine rapper.
What kind of rapper?
What do they call a codeine cough medicine drink? Lean rapper, right?
I don't know. I'm gonna grab a drink though. I'll be right back.
Lean rappers are the ones that like look like they're on drugs all the time, right? The ones that are mumble rapping.
Oh, okay. It took me a minute to figure out what you're talking about.
Lean rappers. Like Lil Wayne was the original lean rapper.
Okay. Yeah.
He's a perfect candidate for one of those priceless.
Or fucking Jen and KY, huh?
He's one of those perfect examples, or for one of those priceless kind of commercials. Jar of Vaseline, $3.99. Flight from Japan to Minnesota, $4,000. Becoming a registered sex offender and being placed on the no-fly list. Priceless.
I don't know, man. Celebrities just. I'm just turning off my camera because I'm going to finish my food. I'm not eating on camera, but celebrities are all gross. You guys were talking about like the people getting fired from the major news networks. You guys remember that one? Was it CNN or something? One dude was in a meeting, like a meeting with everybody on camera, and he was like jerking off on camera.
Jeffrey Toobin. We call it the Toobin.
Does he still have a job?
No.
No?
He was one of the first to go. CNN's been laying people off left and right, dude. Jeffrey Toobin, Brian Stelter, Don Lemon, Chris Cuomo. All in the last year, it seems like.
I wonder if it has anything to do with like their ratings.
Yeah, probably.
Didn't Cuomo defend his, brother or cousin or whatever after that horrible stuff came out about him?
Oh, he went after at the people who were excusing, got information on people and all. Yeah, he went the full 9 yards with that one.
Good evening.
CNN is not bringing the best, are they?
Nope. Hey, Grapple.
I don't like any of these networks. Like, everybody's gross on them. I don't care if it's Fox, MSNBC, CNN. Everybody's disgusting on these shows.
Isn't just everybody in general, damn?
Except Tucker Carlson, but now he's gone, so everybody is gross.
Newsmax is still good. And Sky News Australia.
$8 to donuts, Tucker ends up on Newsmax.
That's what everybody's saying. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. It depends on how much money the Russians offer him, I think.
Well,
I really don't think he's going to go to the Russians. You're silly if you think that.
We'll see. Run to the bathroom real quick.
I mean, You realize that Russia Times has effectively been banned in the United States, right? That was
What about Megan Kelly? Is she still around? Is she?
yeah. She does a podcast. She's on.
Does a podcast though? That's not really like on.
She's either running it through her own YouTube channel or it's through Blaze, somebody like that. I forget who.
I don't recall her being horrifically unattractive.
Oh no, she's like a fucking supermodel. She reminds me of that actress who played Caprica 6 in Battlestar Galactica.
Most Fox hosts and ex-hosts and guest hosts all have podcasts. Fox Nation, I think it is.
That's probably where it is. Yeah, it's probably aired on Fox Nation, and then she can post some of it here.
Welcome to the Megan Kelly Show.
Well, she's doing weather reports in Mexico now too.
See, this is why I thought she was on fucking Blaze, is because she's talking to Glenn Beck the other day. So, I don't know.
And he'll just be gone and nobody will.
Weather reports in Mexico.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. It's some Brazilian meteorologists are the best ones.
Interesting. Do they ever like accidentally drop their microphone or something, their marker?
Oh, oh yeah.
Oh, so sorry, guys. Is that how they?
If you
like
haven't,
it's like the old school like streamers. You know what I mean? Like
EOD
people
education.
write your name back here. Oh, I dropped my pen.
Here you go. This right here.
EOD, look, this is weather in Mexico here.
About other cultures and precipitation. Like, yeah, I may not know what Yannet Garcia is saying, but a part of me is okay. It's okay with all of this. 30
She has to turn to the side and poke her butt out whenever she addresses the screen.
points, and
The
that's all you
commentary
need.
is great.
Minima, maxima, notchy. Yeah, all good. Fucking lightning, rain. It doesn't matter. Oh, none of it matters. It's fine. Even if I did know Spanish and she told me that a freak tidal wave approaches, I'd be like, so what? I'll live. It's no worries. I have a snorkel. She could tell me climate change is, real. I'd be like, what do I have to do? She could be saying, stock up on tin food, get plenty of bog roll, protect your family.
Oh my goodness.
I would jump into action. She'd make me approach the apocalypse with a can-do attitude. Anyway, back to the weather reports in Australia.
It's interstate tomorrow. Shower or two for Sydney, a few showers, and the chance of a thunderstorm for Canberra.
Yeah, no one gives a shit.
No one gives a shit. No one gives a shit.
So DBO, do you understand why the Mexican weather report is important? I mean, you want to know what's going on because the prevailing winds.
Yes.
Are important.
You know,
and the noches and
very important, and
Weather is important.
I'm going to try to keep more up to date on the Mexican weather situation. You should care about your neighboring countries, and I'm concerned about them down there and whatever.
It's about being part of the world
situations
citizen
they
to
may
our
or may
neighbors,
not have.
right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
100%.
April's passing out frying pans for each of us.
I hate that I'm too gay to be disgusted with you guys.
She has a nice bed, doesn't she?
What's Jen gonna cook?
What's Jen gonna cook? Yeah, I like it, Crumble. Took me a second, but I got there.
Y'all are playing with fire, I tell you what.
No, what be playing with fire is gifting her someone with an emote with a broom.
Maybe an apron.
I have some empty slots.
Okay, that's something that maybe we can talk about, Bam. That I think we might disagree on is the whole trad wife thing. How do you feel about that? You know what that is?
I feel like if women want to be a trad wife, then they should be a trad wife, and if they don't want to, then they shouldn't be.
Okay, well that was a lot easier than I thought it would be.
Pretty based.
Pretty based.
What did you think I was going to say? No woman should ever stay home and take care of their kids and cook for their husband, even if it's what they really fucking want to do. Why would? Yes,
I thought for sure you were going to say that's where women belong. Like, I thought that's for sure where you were going to go with that. Thought for sure you were going to be like, they belong barefoot in the kitchen.
Let me
I
see
tell you
if I
what,
can
I do
find it.
100% of the cooking in this house.
There it is.
And I do the majority of like the house chores, but he does the dishes, and I do all the home maintenance because he can't do that stuff. But I will do every chore in this house, like in perpetuity, to avoid being the person that does the dishes. So
That's a fair. I think that's a fair bargain.
yep, and that is what we do. I do all the cooking. I mean, we have
You mow lawn. You mowed
we
lawn
have-
though, right?
we have cleaning ladies that come every 3 weeks to do like dusting and vacuuming and stuff. But like regular household maintenance cleaning is on me. Laundry, all that kind of stuff.
You mow the lawn. You edge the sidewalk.
He won't let me mow the lawn. I know how. It's not that I can't do it; it's that he likes it so much that.
Yeah, classic man
But-
stuff. Yeah.
But you know, as far as like repairing little things here and there, that's all. I'm the one with the tools.
Good for you.
It's short for traditional wife, Jen. That's what it stands for. Oh. But this is really more about how the media company this lady works for and this lady herself are all just a bunch of fucking Marxists, and that the opposition to the trad wife is a very Marxist thing. That's why I brought it up, because you say Bam is a tanky.
Triad wife. Yeah, that's what.
Right, Bam is a tank because this trigger. I'm triggering.
And it's barefoot, pregnant in the kitchen.
That's right. That's what we shoot for.
I'm not a tanky, but I just like to trigger you.
A kitchen counter is just basically a workshop bench top
for women.
For women.
Times
what you were gonna say.
Tools.
It works for me
It
because
may have been implied, DBO.
I can't stand up.
I should have stopped. Okay, I got you. You were good in there.
DBO, I'm actually surprised that you haven't made a comment about tanky.
Oh,
I mean,
I've seen it up. I've seen it there.
Dude, I know you. You would be yeah, I could see it. Loud, white, rather wide, obnoxious, and can't do anything without a man inside him.
Like a polar bear.
Wow, heavy-fisted.
Cis doesn't mean straight. It means not. I was talking to April. It doesn't mean straight. It means not trans. The term cishet means cisgender heterosexual. So cis does not mean straight. It means not.
Devial straight to sleep.
But it has nothing to do with James Hetfield, right?
And DBO, I will never forget the face you made when I said, "Yeah, I got a half black brother."
I don't what face. I don't know what face you're talking. I might have had like an itch on my leg or something, or I don't know what you're going on about there, man. This seems like some accusations that I'm not comfortable with.
Okay, person.
I'm not comfortable with this. Are you a cis hedge person?
It's a cis hedge Midberg. Midberg.
This hedge trimmer.
I miss Mitch Hedberg, man. That dude was awesome.
I'm getting so confused. I heard hedge trimmer, and that's all I can say.
I gotta mow my lawn. Fuck.
Back to yard work again.
Yes.
All right. Sorry about that.
Where do you...
I hadn't heard.
No, go ahead, Abby.
Oh, I hadn't heard people in Florida crying about, oh, my citrus fruits. So it's been pretty warm down there, and
it's been pretty nice recently. Like it gets 80s to mid 80s. Then at night it's been getting 65 to 70. It's been pretty solid recently. No complaints. I mean, it says it's 68 degrees outside right now. That's pretty solid. Not happy, unhappy about that.
It's a little chilly up here these days too. These past couple of days we had a cold front come through. It gets fucking chilly, especially in the spring. Get down to 60, 50 degrees. Hell, it was down at 35 last night at midnight.
Hey man, it's better than a decade ago. Today's the anniversary of the 2010 tornado outbreak.
Mm.
I feel like tornadoes purposely target trailer parks. Like there's some sort of magnetism to tornadoes and trailer parks.
Yeah.
Every time a tornado hits, you know they're gonna show a wrecked trailer park on TV.
And they make sure
every time.
Maybe it's just the same stock footage, and it's not live. You know.
And they make sure to get the dumbest ass fuck on there. Oh, it came along, bro. Look at my phone. I had to hide in a 6-foot ditch with 4 foot of water in it.
And all of a sudden, it was real loud, and there was a freight train coming, boys.
I was gonna say, it doesn't sound like a damn freight train. We got under the mattress out in the hallway and prayed to God, and by God, we made it somehow.
I had to save Louise and our dog Bubbles. We got in the bathtub.
Now, Billy Bob Bear got blown away for about 4 miles.
The interview after a NASCAR race, it's like it's the same thing every time.
It's pretty much let's go Brandon anymore. So that's kind of,
True.
And it wrecked everything, but we got one of those inflatable hot tubs in the shed. That's where we like to party, in the inflatable hot tub shed. We put some neon lights and some black lights in there. We got a little mini beer fridge.
Now we going to get that FEMA upgrade. Woo-wee, look at those babies.
EOD wants to go party in the hot tub shed so bad.
I do, dude. I'm down for it. Let's do it.
Swapping with the hot tub shed. That's what's going on. He's doing it, boys. Look out.
Y'all are confusing house swapping with wife swapping. I didn't say a damn thing about wife swapping, okay?
We knew what you meant.
Wait, how did we get on to Utah again?
What?
Wife swapping.
I have a question, EOD. How do you feel about women that don't fill the trad wife roles?
Oh. I'm just the same way you are. If that's the way you want to live, then that's the way you ought to be able to live. I don't think that...
Look at that. Look at that.
I'm sorry?
We're totally in agreement about the whole thing. It was so simple.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I say, in reflection, this article is less about trad wives and more about this lady misrepresenting it and trying to demonize it and trying to look smart in the process, and it turns out she's completely full of shit, and it's all in the name of Marxism, cultural revolution, and all that. And what's interesting to me is why Marxists are so hell-bent on destroying the idea of a nuclear family. Because to her, trad wives are a travesty and some kind of enemy of culture and sophisticated, women in the contemporary world, and they need to be admonished for that.
EOD, that tracks. Just that 100% tracks. That's what Marxists do. They want you break up the nuclear family. You don't have both parents in the house. And then, well, no, you don't need that. Big Daddy government can take care of you. So you don't need to be a full family. And then once you get dependent on the government, then it's like, oh, well, now you have to do whatever we say because you're dependent.
Yep.
It tracks 100%.
Yeah,
That's like
you are talking
101.
about the individual in this video, how woke propaganda works. That's the individual you're speaking of, correct?
Yeah.
That's the female that you're speaking of?
I'm not sure what you're getting at.
Yeah, you love it.
Well,
it's day what?
This is commentary from another perspective, but he's talking about this woman and her media organization. But
okay.
What?
Well, I didn't say anything.
Well, you're trying to get at something. What are you trying to get at? Don't give me that bullshit.
Are you trying to slip another female in the conversation?
No, I'm saying it. That looks like a very manly female.
Oh.
He's intimidated by the jawline.
Okay. Hold on. There's pictures of her when she was younger. She didn't age well, we'll say.
I was going to say the 5 o'clock shadow, but that's makeup techniques that I'm not.
Oh, shit.
Oof.
There she is. Okay. That's a much more flattering picture of her. She was having a bad day or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay. I take back everything.
That was her. That's the same.
That's the same lady.
That's not the same.
That's the same lady.
Mm.
It might have been years before, but it's the same lady.
Okay.
Bad hair and bad makeup, bad angles.
Yeah.
She must not be in her prime anymore.
Downgraded to choice.
Select. Anyway, yeah, like one of the things she was doing was she cited this book as having a study in it that the book never made any reference to at all, right? That all of this stuff tracked among women who led a traditional life, and then it ended up like it was actually an anecdotal study that she did among about 20 people, and so it was statistically insignificant, and that there wasn't any reference to any real research at all in this book. This book's actually really short, but it got referenced in the new Thelma cartoon, because she throws the feminine mystique at whatever his fucking name is, Mr. Cardigan Man here. Fred, yeah.
Wait, is it still Fred? Is it the same character?
It might be what's an F name for a lady? I'm just kidding. It's not.
The new character.
He's the throwaway Chad dumbass dude that they use to make fun of white men, because that's how we disassemble the patriarchy now.
Anything else I can do for you?
Yeah, maybe read this.
The feminine mystique. No way! I love mystique.
That's
not how you say. So he's just a throwaway one-liner used as a punching bag. That's how they do all of us, man. Francisco says Alesta. Maybe that's his name, is Francisco.
Francisco's a male name.
Yeah, it's not. Wait, what?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, in this series, you still have the original characters except for Scooby-Doo and a race swapped Shaggy.
But he's named something else.
They made Shaggy black?
Yeah, but it's not. I think his name isn't Shaggy now.
Wait a
It's
minute.
like it dresses like Shaggy. I don't know if it acts like Shaggy, but
Wasn't Shaggy always kind of like the stoner of the group?
Yeah, that's why he hung out with the dog all the time. The dog talked to him.
So they made him black.
And he ate Scooby snacks.
He did. He ate dog treats.
He ate the
That's
Scooby
interesting.
snacks.
Feels like they're really.
They more
I think
replaced
balance.
the character.
But they
Right.
made him wear the exact same clothes
Yeah.
and be like the exact same build. And I don't know if he talks the same or acts.
I don't know anything about the show. It looks stupid. I didn't watch it because it looks stupid. And I know even a lot of people on the left are complaining about it because the woman that's behind a lot of it, Mindy, whatever, the Indian woman, she made the Velma character very like fit all like the Indian woman stereotypes. And so people were mad about that too.
What they did was they call the new Shaggy character Norville. My daughter had watched this, who's been a diehard Scooby-Doo fan since she was tiny. I mean, collects everything she can, and she could only sit through 2 episodes of this and was cussing mad about it, and I thought it was funny as hell. She's like, they're changing my, shows and all. And it's kind of like, darling, welcome to the last 50 years of our successful TV and all. You're just now getting a taste of it.
Yeah, they haven't invented anything in forever.
Norville is the name.
Norville? Is
I
that
would just-
the
I
original
would
Shaggy's
just like
name?
to say that I feel like this is cultural appropriation. I feel like when they're taking traditional white characters and then they're making them non-white, this feels like cultural appropriation to me, and I was told that that's a not cool thing to do.
This is I am.
For instance, Black Santa.
I am so sorry about your house, and you should
Steven
absolutely
Seagal.
place the blame
I don't know, man. That is the same exact outfit that Shaggy used to wear.
Is he wearing bell bottoms?
Velma,
That's
I
the key.
care that you accused my dad of being a serial killer without even telling me.
I know.
Also being a lanky, big-head
freaked out,
character.
and I wanted you to finish.
Well, not only that, but then his clothes too.
Did you? Because I couldn't help but notice you had time for a board game.
This is unbelievable. I put you above
Green shirt, brown
everything in my
trousers.
life.
That's
but I draw the line at my
Let's see if you put that
family.
blurb on.
If our situations were reversed, you would have left me for dead after my first hallucination.
But I was worried my mom
Why is he hallucinating? You see? Uh-huh.
would recover her memories. She only has an hour.
Because he's stoned all the time.
Bad friend, you look terrible in orange.
Norville, please. You say that every time I mistake dwarves and elves.
An elf is a luminous spirit, and a dwarf is a hairy oaf. But most importantly, they are not friends. And
We'll be right back.
neither are we. Best of luck in all your future endeavors, Wilhelmina.
Yeah.
Lamina.
What?
Now, when I was saying her, her complaints about having series and all, mine's mainly is they're just garbage. They're remade into garbage. It doesn't even have to be the woke stuff. It's just shitty writing, regurgitated content,
Agreed. Heavy Fisted, is there a remake recently that you did like? For instance, maybe like a lot of people might point to the new Top Gun remake, or maybe some of the newer Jurassic Parks.
Not really.
Is there a remake recently that you did like?
Are the new Jurassic Parks remakes or just sequels?
I'll be honest with you, I think they're remakes. I mean, listen, do you remember like the new trilogy? What was it? It was two kids, they go to the park.
Didn't see it.
They get lost in the park, the dinosaurs get lost. Then the girl and the guy go out there to rescue them because they're in the park. That's literally the exact same story of the original Jurassic Park.
And then they were removing dinosaurs from the island.
Yeah, I think that would be like the second movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of reoccurring plots.
Yes, I agree. So I'm saying
I gotta be honest, I don't remember anything about any of the Jurassic Park movies except the very first one because it was a classic. And
That was the best one, yeah.
And then like Chris Pratt, like being in a bus, like using a bus as a defensive something or other and shotgunning raptors.
Do you remember when they remade the Ghostbusters and it was like it was all females?
That was terrible. That bombed super hard.
Pretty bad. It feels like, to go on what Heavy Fist was saying, it feels like there's been a lot of these recently. I'm not sure what the deal is, but maybe people are just being very nostalgic. And you see this in other things too. Like there was a Super Bowl show a year or two ago, like a halftime show, and it was like Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre and Eminem. It was like right back to like the 2000s. You know what I mean? But it seems to be people are wanting this nostalgic stuff from kind of back in the day, and they're attempting to do that, and they remake it. But when they do remake it, it comes out terrible.
I think they figured out that if they make anything new, they have to make it super woke. So now they have to cash in on nostalgia, or else not make money. That's a theory.
It could be.
But they're remaking the old stuff with the super woke in it, and it's bombing. It's tanking.
Bad, but they're counting on nostalgia to capture the dollars of people who don't know.
Well, I mean, all the creativity is just left Hollywood, if you ask me. Like Heavy pointed out, this shit's been going on longer than the woke shit. This has been going on for 15 or 20 years. They just haven't been able to create anything that's memorable, that's not something we've already seen before. And how long, I can't remember the last original movie I saw.
Avatar.
I will not have you disparaging Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck. Is that new?
No, it's from the 80s. There was a reference to it in one of the Marvel, like at the end of the one.
That's what DBO said was Avatar.
Avatar 2 is just Avatar 1 add water.
It's way worse than that. What do you mean?
So it's dehydrated.
It's any nonsense I've ever seen.
Did you guys ever hear the theory that Avatar is actually just a remake of Dancing with Wolves?
I heard that for Fern Gully. Seems more like
Pocahontas and Fern Gully. Yeah.
Now, I will say there has been some good stuff that's come out. I mean, any of y'all watch Vox Machina on Amazon?
I'm familiar with Ex Machina. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good series that's taken off.
That's a series or the movie?
It's a series, Vox Machina.
Vox Machina, not.
Okay, no. I'm familiar with the movie about the AI. The guy has to go there to test the AI, figure out if it's like sentient, like it knows that
Turing
it's
tested.
AI.
I think that's
You guys familiar with that movie?
That's Deus Ex, right?
No, it's called Ex Machina.
Is it? My bad.
Yeah.
There's a lot of very similarly named
You
things.
guys don't know that movie?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Vox Machina versus Deus Machina.
Yeah.
Good movie. There's this eccentric billionaire. He creates this AI and then slaps it in a robot, and he hires one of his best programmers to go there and test it, and it gets kind of crazy.
Well, you know. Oh, go ahead, man.
Oh, I remember that one. It was like it was supposed to be like a chick, like it had the face of a chick, and then
Yeah. It was good. It was good. I saw it. It was good.
Okay.
But I was gonna say Squid Game. I forgot about Squid Game. That was good. But that's Korean. You had to read it.
Never watched it. I can't do the voiceover thing when they're talking and the lips don't move. You know
what?
I can't do it. It's a pet peeve of mine. I can't do it.
You asked.
It had good voice
that
acting.
has come out that I've liked.
Sure.
Jack Ryan series on Amazon as well,
Okay.
and the Reacher series. Both of those were really good.
I liked Reacher.
those are remakes of books, though, not of previous. Or are they? Was there previous like movies or something for them?
Yes, there's movies.
What about the It
how long
movies?
ago?
Those were classics back in the day. They just remade a couple of those. What did you think of those?
Which ones?
It.
Oh.
The clown one.
Yeah, Stephen.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I saw the first one. I didn't see the second one, but that first one was creepy.
Oh, The Thing, the reboot of The Thing.
Yeah, The Thing.
That was a pretty good
No. Not The Thing. That's like
They're up in snow.
It was It. Yeah. No, I'm thinking of It. That's what it was called. Was It?
The cinematography of it was a lot better on the second one, but just the overall terror, the storyline, and all that was better in the original.
That's closer to the book, I guess. Still though, that fucking Stephen King wrote a really weird scene in that book that is really weird.
It is, isn't it?
It didn't make it into the movie, but
Did not. That was that's questionable on his part. That was weird thing to write into a book for no reason.
Yeah.
He's a weird dude
Well,
in general.
Stutz, I don't know what's happening, but picking
Like
up the Stutz.
It's like a child gang rape that happens.
Well, she wanted it to happen, but it was fucking weird. Okay, it was weird. They did not need to be there.
You guys ever dove down the conspiracy theory on how The Shining, there's like so many things in there that Kubrick put in there that like he faked the moon landings, how it connects to the movie The Shining?
Yes, this man with his moon landings.
I just remember this conspiracy. I remember watching documentaries on how a lot of people were linking some very interesting stuff in that movie.
Okay, have you ever seen the fucking what is that? Where's Bandit when you need him? What is that one dude who did the presentation on the history of the moon landing? You know what I'm talking about, Grumple?
Oh, for the love of God, we don't need to talk about the moon landings.
Yes, we do.
The Shining.
You mean Michael Bay?
No, not fucking Michael Bay.
I believe he called it Dark of the Moon.
No,
There were robots.
it was a podcast, Grumple, that we watched on fucking Twisted Stream.
Oh. I remember that it happened, but not.
So sorry I brought it up. I'm not trying to talk about the moon landing.
It is all your fault, DBO. We're going to figure it out.
No.
Hey, now
It's right here. I mean, this is the guy. This isn't the right one, but
if we want to talk about the moon, Iron Sky.
Iron Sky. Yeah.
Is that Nazi movie?
Bill Whittle. It's Bill Whittle.
Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, I saw that movie. It was very interesting.
Are they alien zombie or alien Nazis or zombie Nazis or zombie alien Nazis?
Moon Nazis.
Moon Nazis? Oh, that's
Did you see
interesting.
the movie called Moonfall, where like the moon is like hollow, and they go in there, and it's actually like a giant superstructure with like this AI built into it or something?
I've heard of that theory
Sphere
before.
on the inside.
It's
It's
very
like the CPU for Earth or something.
It's very interesting.
Basically what it was a Dyson sphere powering basically an ark from another civilization that was destroyed.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, that's
And it was kind of stupid.
I'm gonna tell you, dude. Like, there are people out there who actually believe that that's what's actually on the inside of the moon, and that it's a spacecraft, an interstellar spacecraft, and that our original ancestors were actually the original inhabitants of the moon.
Yeah, it's like a mega structure. Yeah, that's kind of what the movie was, I guess, based around. Yeah.
Excuse me, gentlemen and lady. I believe if you'll go back into the Wayback Machine and look at moon.googlemaps.com, you will see, if you zoom in all the way, that it is actually cheese until Big Moon. They censored it. So they started putting
Big Moon
the full resolution after they rendered them. Yeah, Big Moon lobby.
I've seen a couple big moons in my life.
Oh.
My jokes are terrible.
There's a movie that just came out that I'm gonna watch with my boyfriend in an hour. I really like Christoph Waltz, and he's in a new like a fantasy film. What is it called? Portable Door. It's pretty good. We watch together just fantasy and sci-fi. I mostly watch war dramas, but when we watch stuff together, we do a lot of fantasy and sci-fi.
Did you say portable 4 as in the number, or
Door.
door as in like blood?
Portable Door.
Door. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
That sounds cool.
Like Monsters Inc.
It's not a cartoon.
No, I mean, but the same concept of portable doors.
It's like this it's some kind of government agency, I guess, or something that is responsible for everything that happens, and one of the tools they use is this portable door where they can go anywhere, and somehow that one of the new agents gets a hold of it, and I don't know what happens, but it just shows him going through all these crazy places with this portable door.
Oh, so like Monsters Inc. or
That's
the
cool.
Matrix.
Or the Matrix. That's what I was thinking of. Matrix. Yeah. You get the keymaster, and then any key becomes a portal to wherever you want to go, or any door becomes a portal wherever you want to go.
Do you guys like this Sandman?
Nope.
We enter Sandman.
The show, The Sandman.
Oh, I thought you said this anime. I'm like, no, I don't like fucking anime. I did.
Trouble that your jokes are falling as flat as mine. I love it.
It's not a lot of anime I like. I like Bleach a lot, but I'm not a big anime person.
I watched a good one with my parents the other night, yesterday actually. It's called Please Stand By. Have you heard of that? No. Well, you said you liked sci-fi stuff, so this might appeal to you. I don't know. But
I did see the
it was
Sandman show.
it was good
came
though.
out recently, but I did not watch it. Like, I mean, I saw it sitting there, and I know it was popular, but I did not watch it.
Morning, Wendy. Morning, Scotty. Can we go over your everyday schedule? Wake up, go to work. Welcome to Cinnabon. Would you
I
like
did like, what was that movie? What was that show that HBO was doing a while ago? With the
3
robots.
p.m., take
It
a
was
peek for
kind
a
of the
walk.
same thing.
6
Robots,
p.m.,
AI,
Star Trek before I go
and
to
they had
bed.
like Westworld.
Westworld. I heard that was good. I haven't seen it though.
Remake of Westworld.
Contest.
I thought the first season was pretty fascinating. I think I fell off the second season.
Please stand by. Breathe.
But the
Your
first
complete
season of it, I
expert
remember
must be
being
received by
pretty
February
freaking
16th.
cool.
Where are you going? Los Angeles. Bus driver, my friend needs to pee. Don't do it, Pete.
A dog just pisses on the bus.
Happens when you pee on the bus.
Me and my boyfriend, we're actually going down to LA. Maybe you should just come with us.
She's 5'4", blonde.
That's her.
Hey! I know he's
Oh
the hero
shit,
of
man.
Star Wars.
I can make it bigger.
Who is this Kirk person? She's out there, alone. She's a very resourceful girl. am I?
This is
Hospital, you hit your head.
She jumped out the window! How did she get away from you people?
this is a reboot of The Wizard with Fred Savage.
Everything's a reboot, I guess.
Is one of the most complex and creative people I know.
People have their own lives, and after a while, those lives don't include you.
Captain, there's only one logical direction in which to go. Forward.
Light. It can travel for millions of years before finally reaching its destination.
Do you know how hard it is to write something? Because the story you want to tell means so much to you?
It goes lonely and alone, hoping that it will reach someone.
That's amazing. So what happens next?
The unknown is there for us to conquer, not to fear.
What was Leonard McCoy's daughter's name?
Joanna.
Oh, snap! Payoff!
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Reboot of The Wizard with Fred Savage. But because Super Nintendo or Nintendo, it's not a thing. Star Trek, they just replaced it with Star Trek.
Do you guys like
Contest. Like what?
Star Trek?
Yeah, I do.
I like the new ones. I mean, I was never in. I can watch the original. Like any of them it's cool, but I was never into it enough to like. Hey, I gotta go watch Star Trek.
Strange New Worlds is the best of all the new series.
Yeah, it's the most like the old ones, isn't it? Because it's got Christopher Pike as the captain and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I've only seen little bits and pieces of the new stuff. I didn't like Discovery at all, so I was like, meh.
Because it's new movies.
It's just J.J. Abrams' Trek. It's just like the damn movies, the new movies, and it's like this is not what Star Trek was supposed to be. You know, when Gene Roddenberry was still doing it, and even when Rick Berman was still doing it with Voyager and Deep Space Nine, it was all about character development and drama on the starship or on the space station. You know, there's so little of that. That's very well done. It's all like Marvel heroes, and you know, it's very shallow comparatively speaking, in my opinion.
I prefer the. I mean, it holds the attention. You got the action, and then like.
Sure, but
action. There's not a limit to character development. But I mean, if you're gonna watch a movie, how much character development can you have in a movie?
That's fair. I guess that's why it feels vapid, because you know at this point with Next Generation, I've probably memorized all 7 seasons. So like I could pick out any one episode from the entire history of the Next Generation and tell you what you're watching.
Which is the one with Scott Bakula with Quantum Leap guy?
That's Star Trek Enterprise. That one wasn't very well received either, but that one's not so bad. But it just has shitty budget.
I grew up with Enterprise, so that's like the bar I set for Star Trek. So there's a lot of bad.
Yeah, that one was not good. That Next Generation was much better. I grew up with Voyager.
I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. I meant the Next Generation.
Oh yeah. That was in the 80s, in the early 90s, and then Voyager and Deep Space Nine and Next Generation were all running at the same time alongside each other for a little bit, and then it all kind of ended one after the other. But
you see, I stopped watching Star Trek after the Next Generation, and then picked up about Enterprise because I couldn't stand Deep Space Nine. There was something about it I didn't like, and the problem with Enterprise was they jumped the shark way too soon.
Yeah.
Did you like Babylon 5? I mean, it's a comparison to Deep Space Nine.
Babylon 9, Farscape, yeah.
Was it 9 or 5? My bad.
I'm sorry, Babylon 5.
Was it 5?
I didn't like Babylon 5 or Farscape. I thought they were too corny for me. And Deep Space Nine, like when you get into the Dominion Wars, it gets real fucking confusing. I couldn't keep up with what the fuck was going on. Otherwise, it's like a little bit of a different episodic sort of storytelling. It's not as dependent on character arcs as it is on just individual little separate stories. They don't do very good on the arcs with Deep Space Nine. They really don't. But Gene Roddenberry was masterful at it with Next Gen, and they did pretty good with Voyager. But the problem with Voyager was they copied a bunch of episodes from Next Gen, and they just changed the characters around and changed some of the circumstances. And what do you know? It's a new episode. No, it's not. not really.
Honestly, this is the first series that I've liked since The Next Generation. It's Strange New Worlds is actually really good.
I gotta give it a look. I gotta give it a shot. I was pretty impressed with Andor so far of what I've seen of it. But you know, they're just gonna do the same shit that they did with Mandalorian too, right? Like season 1, it's all good and it attracts the audience, and then season 2, they're like, oh wait, no, that's not the hero. This is the hero. Fuck you.
Did you finish Andor though?
Andor? No, I haven't.
The longer it goes on, like it gets better. Like I wasn't sure about it at first, but my boyfriend really liked it, so we kept watching it. But it got really exciting towards the end. I liked it, and I'm not a fan of The Mandalorian because at this point it's like watching a preschool show, right? It's very
Yoda and Friends.
And this is hardly a
I got to throw back to Star Trek. What were you thinking about the Exnor movie that was going to come out?
Exnar? What are you talking about?
It was a big budget fan movie that was being made, and basically CBS, the Paramount came in and stomped it.
I hadn't heard about that. I don't really follow the fan movies. I know there are a few that are really well done though. Some of them get some big budget actors too.
Yeah, this fan film had some big names attached to it. Quite a few. The guy who played the original Candyman, one of the guys from Battlestar Galactica.
Nice. See, that's one I did like. Was Battlestar Galactica.
Wait, I'm trying to remember the dark-haired one.
James Edward Olmos?
It may be. Yep.
He was the old man, Captain Adama.
Well, not Captain Adama. Hold on, let me check.
He was in both, I believe.
No, I'm talking about the pilot.
Lee Adama.
I gotta jump in here. I gotta call it a night.
Right on, man.
Have a good one.
All right. Nice talking to you. Thank you for joining this conversation.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by. It was very productive, I thought. I was afraid it was going to get out of hand, but it definitely did not.
I told you, me and him have been talking in DMs. We're buddies now.
All right.
He thinks I'm being facetious. Tell him.
I believe you. I'm just saying that was my expectation going into it, and I was subverted pleasantly so. So I'm glad for that. Thank you.
No, I mean I wanted it to be a good conversation night, so I wanted to show that I didn't have to come in here and just yell and argue with people.
You like me.
Besides, there was no reason to yell and argue about it. Like it was a topic that most of us all agreed on. So and it was more like, for me, it was like, what can be done? What solutions can be made? How can we make this better? So yeah, I appreciate the conversation. I would hang out longer, but I got to work super early in the morning.
Sure,
yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate the conversation, Bam. Thanks EOD for letting me come back.
Sure, man.
Heavy fisted, Grumble. Good night. I will see you guys another time.
Take it easy, man.
Speaking of that,
thank you, Mats.
This is a conversation that you said that you wanted to have with me like a million times. And you showed up as soon as we ended the conversation.
I have an appointment on Mondays and Tuesdays until like evening after basically.
I'm sure you had your reasons. I just thought it was funny that you showed up.
Yeah.
There's that conversation.
I heard you closing it down as I got here. It was like,
AUD.
Yeah.
The movie had Richard Hatch, Tony Todd, Kate Vernon, J.G. Hertzler.
Wait, J.G. Wentworth though?
Hertzler and Gary Graham.
Some of those sound kind of familiar.
Pretty big names.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I saw one of them that had like Dwayne Johnson in it, dude. Like that one.
You would recognize him if you saw him, Grumple.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know a lot of names of actors unless they're like Clint Eastwood.
I was gonna say I'm not good at that either, going very far back, but
I could tell you when I see somebody in something else, totally different costume. Wait, no, that's X from Y, but I don't know the actor's name.
I saw James Dorn on one of them. That's one that most people probably wouldn't recognize. But he's Worf And he also played in like the Dune reskin of Command and Conquer, which is cool. If you're a Command and Conquer geek, all that stuff is taped.
Live action in that?
Yeah, they had live action cutscenes and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I was never really into Command and Conquer. I was barely into like StarCraft and Warcraft as far as real-time strategy goes back in the day.
Speaking of which, that's one we haven't talked about. It's been remade, what, 4 times, 5 times now, Dune? That was a good remake, though. The new one was pretty good, I thought. I don't know.
Was it really Dune, though?
I mean, yeah. What do you mean?
It's kind of like so basically they should have named it Dune with a secondary title because they didn't go deep into it at all. It's like Dune, the beginning, you know?
Yeah, well, it is part 1. They did say it was part 1, but part 2 hasn't come out yet. Part 2 was supposed to come out like this Christmas season, I think. So we'll see.
Did the spice flow though? Because I mean, the spice must.
No. It got
lost.
It got right to the middle of the story, but I don't know how much of the story do you know.
Actually, it was more like
I never read the books. I never read the books, but I have the original 3-part. As far as I know, it's the earliest published like miniseries, but it's on 2 DVDs, and I have that, and I really liked it.
I have that too. That was a sci-fi made for TV series.
I think so.
It's probably the earliest Dune miniseries, and maybe the only Dune miniseries, but there's been miniseries before that. But because that was the 90s, that was in the late 90s, early 2000s. But
they had really good effects for the 90s too.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. But out of the 3, like the original David Lynch movie, that made for TV movie, and then the new one, I think that made for TV movie is the worst, honestly. Because I don't think they've cast the lead role very well at all. Paul Atreides is not properly cast in that movie. I don't know who that actor was, but he sucked.
What's the other? No, I'm thinking Arrakis. That's the planet.
Yeah.
Zarek? No. Atreides, and I want to say Atreyu then also, but that's no.
No, that's never ending story. Yeah, Atreides, the Harkonnen, and then there's
crime family, whatever.
Talu. There's a lot of houses in the book, dude. Like, it's a very complicated political situation. But they try to simplify it for the movies. They keep it between the Atreides, the Harkonnen, and the Sardaukar are these elite warriors that are employed by the Emperor. So that's a third force of war that's acting in the conflict that's majored in the movie. That's pretty much it, though. I think that Talu had a little bit to do with it, but not much.
And then I remember that the Shai Hulud was the name of the giant sandworms because there was a metal band in the 90s called Shai Hulud.
Yep.
And somebody just said, "Oh, hey, it's Shai Hulud, like the giant worms from Dune." And stuck.
That was the Fremen name for them, yeah, in the Fremen language. Shai Hulud. Because they worship the worms. Oh, I'm tired too. I feel like we cut you off a minute ago, Heavy.
Oh, no.
Ow. Yeah.
Muad'Dib.
Muad'Dib. But yeah, James Dorn played Duke Atreides in the game, which was a little weird, but...
This one seems bright and eager to learn.
Oh, that is him.
Yeah.
Performs in the field before we continue the briefing. An excellent suggestion, my lord.
Before we have a briefing, go do a mission.
Well, it's a video game. It's a video game.
Before you get to the briefing, you got deployment.
So,
don't worry about what it's in it. You gotta pass it to find out what's in it.
I have this game. I could play this on stream one day. I've been looking for an opportunity to do a cool game. It's very clunky for an RTS because it's ancient. It's like 1995 when this came out, but
there are vast wastes where nothing lives save the spice.
Man, it was Getting into RTS is always like, well, gotta learn all the new trees and all the new build progressions and what to use when. And
Yeah.
Well, it just felt like a chore almost. Like it would have been fun, but
Oh, I like it. It's a discovery process. But what's not fun is once you figure out how to beat the AI, it's over. Once I have a good enough strategy, it's like every level of difficulty is always based on the same strategy. So I just employ the same bullshit over and over again.
True.
Just a matter of scale as to whether or not it's hard, medium, or easy.
Is that from the Dune sci-fi show?
No, this is from the game I'm talking about. I don't think there's this is just the cutscenes, but if we can look at some gameplay if you want. It's pretty primitive.
Is there not a Dune game? I would have thought there is.
There is, yeah, this one.
No, that's it's Command and Conquer set in. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, it's Command and Conquer used to resell their engine all the time for different stuff to just reskin it and put different models in it and try to turn it into a different game. So this is an example of that. That's what I meant. But it is an officially licensed Dune game though. Yeah.
Was it the same like units, just with different names and maybe models, or different like totally different progressions and stuff?
No, they had some pretty unique mechanics. So like these are Harkonnen troops over here, and they have like this saw blade rover thing that's pretty quick, but then it doesn't have very powerful guns on it. So then the balance is the Atreides have these slow walkers, but they have these giant cannons on the back. And they're much more effective at destroying vehicles than they are infantry. So then there's these guys up here are anti-infantry, snipers, and mortar specialists. It's a good defense. This guy knows what he's doing. He's got towers and shit up too. Anyway, that's boring shit. Leave it to EOD to kill the room. April says she's exhausted. I don't know. I'm pretty tired too, y'all. I think I got about 4 hours of sleep last night.
Lucky.
Yeah. Well, it's unusually light for me.
It's a Monday. Dang.
Yeah.
Never got the hang of Mondays, huh?
If you guys get a chance, you should check out this show. It's the new show, so you have to look it up. The 2023 Jury Duty. It's like this. It's a reality show, but it's just like one dude doesn't realize he's on a reality show, and it's a bunch of actors like pretending to be on he's on jury duty. And it's hard to make me laugh, and that's the funniest show I've seen in a good long time.
Did you like Parks and Rec?
That was pretty good.
I think I've seen previews for it, actually. Oh.
Yeah, that's it right there. It's really funny.
The matter of Hillgrove versus Morris.
When they say jury of your peers, I think that's accurate. I mean, how long does this normally take? Have you done this before?
I'm a recognizable public figure.
Respectfully, I don't recognize you.
Juror number 54.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm gonna be upset if I don't get on the jury. Me? Ready, guys? Here we go.
All right, so this is what happened. Allegedly. There's a lady named Jacquees. I'm in it. Try to keep an eye on her.
I want to do the best job that I can. What do people usually say when they're trying to get out of this? I'm only going off of things I've seen on Family Guy. Wait, what was it? Peter pretends to be racist to get out of jury duty.
Would you be able to be a good juror for this matter?
Sir.
I'm racist.
Sir.
I don't know why I said that.
Eliminate that for the next time.
Totally. Yeah, it's a stupid idea.
Sorry
for the paparazzi.
This is a problem.
You're sequestered.
I googled it. It's isolated.
Isolated.
Separated. Todd is a very interesting individual. He showed up wearing chair pants.
The difficulty is the lack of a bend.
Jesus Christ.
What are we looking at in here?
Hi, guys.
No!
Sorry.
Did that just Five Nights at Freddy's?
This is the most unorthodox trial that I presided over.
Oh my God!
I try not to judge a book too much by its cover, but...
Call your next witness.
It's true that you were once arrested for masturbating in a movie theater.
Yes, that's true. Pacific Rim Uprising.
What the fuck?
I saw that. There was zero arousal for me.
Oh.
It literally feels like reality TV.
Oh.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, I'm not an actor, so I don't know what it takes.
Yeah, who knows?
That's cool.
Yeah, no, it was really funny. The last 2 episodes just dropped the other day, so the whole season's out there. It was really good.
I have to check it out.
Oh, it's one season?
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's a brand new show.
Sorry, can't do it unless there's like 3.
Okay.
I don't want to get fireflied again.
I would expect this to just be like a 1-season show. I'd expect it to be like a limited series. I don't know how they'll be able to recreate it for a 2nd season.
And except for the feature-length movie that is the follow-up to it, right?
Yeah.
A man spends 1 year on jury duty and doesn't realize it. Yeah, it'd be kind of hard to.
Grand jury, there's different cases that come in.
Yeah, but but not for like 6 months.
Well, if it's like once a week-ish, if each show is a week of jury duty or grand jury even.
Yeah, but how much of that is actually clipped out and edited, It's just, you can only fool somebody so long, then they would have to move on to somebody else.
Right, and my point is that with this show having been released, I don't think they could do it with a jury again, right? Somebody would be like, am I on that show? This is weird.
So was it just the premise of the show that one guy wasn't, or was he actually not?
No, he actually had no idea.
Yeah, it's like a candid camera thing. Yeah.
The last episode, they show all the hidden cameras and how they did everything, so you could see that it's basically an episode of I swear, guys, we weren't lying. This was real.
I wonder.
It's a good episode, but I feel like they were trying to prove to the audience that it was real.
I wonder how much he got paid, because jury duty only pays like $11 an hour in most places.
That's not much.
$11 a day. Sorry.
How much that guy got paid?
So, but the thing is, if you're bringing somebody under the guise of being in a courtroom as part of a jury, you're talking about back pay and a whole bunch of other stuff that they're going to have to provide to him.
Which in the context of a show is probably small, like drop in the bucket.
You'll find out if you watch the show.
It's probably
he's got every grounds to sue the hell out of him.
I don't think he wants to.
I was gonna say it's probably all awarded in a lump sum at the end of the show. I gotta go to the bathroom.
No. Not allowed.
I'm honestly mad that show is over. It was so good.
Unless, here's how it could be multiple seasons. If multiple seasons are already recorded.
That would have been cool.
It would have to be with different people. It couldn't be just one person.
No, yeah, it'd have to be. No, totally different new non-actor.
So the guy's personality is a big part of the appeal of the show. I think they went through a lot of applications of people. They did it as there's a reality show about people being on jury duty. So he knew he was on a reality show about people being on jury duty. He didn't know that it wasn't real jury duty and everybody else was an actor, right? And they looked through a lot of applications and stuff, but they really lucked out with the personality of the dude they found. Like, that's part of the reason I don't think they could recreate it, because they couldn't get anybody that good again.
Okay, so he knew it was a show, but he thought it was a real deal reality show. Okay, I missed that part. I thought the reality show was that he didn't know. Okay, that makes more sense.
I mean, it's possible. They'd have to space it out and time and space well enough to, fool somebody else.
Right.
But it's possible.
It would be hard to recreate like a personality as good as his.
Oh man. Yeah.
Riot police descended on Montana Capitol as left-wing protesters shut down proceedings.
Seems to be happening more and more across the country these days.
Yeah.
Insurrections abound.
No, only one side does insurrection. The other side's protesting.
Right.
90-something% peaceful, too. Come on, man.
I lost all faith in protest after I went to Occupy Wall Street. The dumbest.
Occupy Wall Street was a thing? Occupy.
I was there, and it was the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah.
I mean, did you occupy Wall Street?
I did.
What happened?
There was no organization. Nobody knew why they were there. It was like a ton of people shut up because somebody said, "We're protesting rich people." There was just like homeless crust punks just all over Tompkins Square Park, just there because they heard there was a protest, and it was like a parade or something was happening with like weird dancers, and then right in front of it, this one lady made this huge shrine on the ground that you had to like avoid it, like walk around it, and she was being super protective of her weird little shrine, like alternative religion type stuff. I don't know, like confused Buddhism. I don't know what to call it, but it was really stupid, and she was in everybody's way. She's in everybody's way, and she was just being weird, like doing some weird hippie dance that just made her look like she should be in a hospital.
If you ask me, that's when they started laying the groundwork for these consistent protests over and over and over again. I feel like BLM started ramping up not long thereafter.
I can't, like, there needs to be organization to these things, and there's not. Like, everybody's like, oh.
Well, that was the big aha moment. They were like, oh, well, now suddenly we have all of these supple minds that will come when we call. What will we do with them? And then they started masticating, and then BLM, Antifa, drag queen shows in libraries.
Who's the weed?
Masticate on people in public?
The people who tried to organize it in the first place and then realized what power they might wield if they had organized it appropriately in the first place. Does that make sense?
I mean, the meals were pretty well organized. They had like this whole kitchen set up in the middle of Tompkins Square Park.
That was a frequent feature of the BLM protests, a food truck running around. Huh?
Well, it was free food. It was like.
Well, yeah. So was this? That's what I mean. They had like these riotous, these food trucks that had been absolutely fucking destroyed, and they were just passing shit out like it was like packets of crackers and a bottle of water or some bullshit. But
no, this was an organized kitchen. They made a kitchen in the middle of Tompkins Square Park. That was the only thing that was organized in the entire protest. Was the little kitchen set up they made and fed everybody. It's probably why there were so many weirdos there. Is they were like, oh, it's like a soup kitchen.
Right. So that must. So I mean, okay. Maybe I'm just tired. Race car says, "Mein Schwanz is gross." I don't know what that means, race car. You're speaking different languages.
It's Schwartz. It's your Schwartz. Your Schwartz race car.
Your Schwartz isn't as strong as mine.
So gross.
Oh, he says it means my rooster is huge. I can figure out what you mean by that.
Sarah means very, basically.
I mean, from what I understand about the way these thug groups get together and do, somehow orchestrate some of this crap, is there's like a kit and like a fucking guide on what to do and how to do it, and so they're just trying to put the pieces into the formula and failing to do so. But I think that formula was originally developed out of the experiences learned from the 99 percenters at the fucking Wall Street thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Like I said, maybe I'm just fucking tired. It doesn't seem like the shit was going on the same way back then. And back before that. Like the riots in LA were nothing like what happened over George Floyd, man. It was ruinous. It was just people wanting to tear shit up.
Best thing about the LA riots was the Roof Koreans.
Right.
Just not taking it. We're not good. It's like D. Snyder was there or something.
Probably was.
Might have been.
May have been. Yeah, it was LA.
Excuse me, California Stan.
All right.
I met D. Snyder. He's a giant.
Yeah.
Well, I have to give it to Canada for something this week.
Every 12 of my God.
The world's strongest man was a Canadian this year.
No. Was it a woman? I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, if
backwards.
I mean, some of them, if they happen to, rank low, maybe next year.
You never know. No, I remember that. That was in New Zealand that a trans woman broke the weightlifting record, and then some dude came down and identified as a woman. There wasn't anything stopping him from competing, and then he broke her record.
Man, I couldn't.
Oh, he did it just to nope, you're not going to have this record.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised, but I am kind of surprised that one YouTuber injured a woman in sports.
What one YouTuber?
Dylan Mulvaney?
No. Hold on one second.
Oh, Zuby. Zuby, I don't remember if he did it at a sanctioned event, but he went and did a deadlift and beat the female world. And he's not that great of a power lifter, but he just went and I'm just gonna beat the women's record, and just went and did it. He's a music producer, I think. He's active on tweeters.
Yep, you done missed it, Race Car. That was the first thing we covered was Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson getting ousted.
I don't think my brother knows about Don Lemon. I'm gonna have to tell him that.
He was in Grumpy Old Men.
I think
Don Lemon?
Like either he really doesn't like Don Lemon or he does like him. I don't know. I gotta tell him that.
Yep, he's done.
Riley J. Dennis.
I have no idea who that is.
Back when I was in the skeptic community of YouTube, transgender that was very aggressive and I can say rhetoric driven, activist. But it's kind of funny. Kind of disproved a lot of the points by injuring someone in a game.
More like whacktivist, am I right?
Unless things have changed, which I haven't kept track of, yes, still whacktivist.
Race car.
Isn't there an MMA fighter, the trans woman MMA fighter that like broke a couple girls' skulls before she finally got thrashed?
Yeah, probably. I think I remember something about that.
Yeah, she got thrashed pretty bad by somebody. But
Was Ronda Rousey injured in this?
I do not believe Ronda Rousey was injured in this. No. But this trans woman in MMA and women's MMA had broken two women's skulls that she fought, and then she got her ass handed to her by another woman pretty bad.
Oh, that's sexist.
Okay. I mean, I'm making your point for you about trans women in sports. This person broke two women's skulls, right?
Yes. That was man, that was facetious. I'll try and not do that quite as much.
I can't always follow what you're saying because of how you talk. So I just, the words don't complete a sentence in my head.
That's okay.
Well, I think we had a very good conversation tonight, Bam. What do you think?
Well, I love the conversation. I'm sorry I was so anxious. I don't know why I was expecting it to not be on stream, but I was for some reason. It's not a problem that it was on stream. It's just like because my brain wasn't expecting it, it went into like panic a little bit.
I don't know why we would schedule it if it wasn't.
I have no idea because I'm stupid.
My bad.
Think through.
I guess I could have been more explicit.
I should have, I'm sitting here like, oh yeah, it's totally, like it was an active thought that it was going to be off stream. So I should have asked you.
Yeah.
Right?
My bad. But anyway, I think we're going to go ahead and raid out. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, though. I really appreciate it. And Devil Dog shows up just as I'm headed out. But what's a Trans Am identify as? A Firebird.
It's a fancy Firebird.
A female Camaro, says race car.
Wait. Yeah, to be a male Trans Am, it has to have T-tops.
Oh, shit. Oh, hold on now. I gotta say hi to Lou Evil Slugger in the chat. He's a fellow streamer from the Louisville area. What's up, man? How you doing?
Lou Evil, huh?
Yeah, he does a lot of gaming stuff like that. I check in on him every once in a while, but I haven't been in there in a while. How you been, man? That's good, bro. I got home and hopped on. Oh yeah, man.
I like the name.
Yeah, he's got a crazy beard too. I don't know if he still had the crazy beard or not, but he had a crazy beard. It's like really long and it's split, and it's part of it's dyed red. It's cool looking. He's a cool cat, though.
Grump, at some point I have to have a private conversation with you about something serious, right?
Anyway, man. Yeah, you
figure that out. Yes.
You guys caught me at the worst damn time. I was just about to head out, but he says it needs to be redone. Hell yeah, man. You gotta keep that shit fresh. But anyway, man. You know what?
Zach is live.
I know Zach is live. I've rated Zach about 3 or 4 times though.
Oh yeah, you could see Zach is live. I don't need to say that to you.
I'm trying to make up my mind. All kinds of people crawling out the real work. That's right, I am trying to take my damn pants off. That's what we're doing right now. I'm going into no pants mode. I'm tired. I didn't get enough sleep last night. I'm gonna go fix that. So y'all have a nice night. We're gonna raid into Woodsman Bill. I haven't rated Woodsman Bill. Woodsman Bill. I haven't rated Woodsman Bill and in quite some time. So
Woodsman Bill is a new streamer. I didn't know.
Yeah, we have no idea who that guy is at all, do we? No. Yeah. Anyway,
in quite a while.
He's He's in a BRB right now, but he's only been live for like 15 minutes. I'm sure he's gonna be back. But anyway,
You assume.
I know, right? Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you all for hanging out. Cheers. And natives call him Will I Cocky. That's fucking Dutch talk. All right.
He loves Guy Bukaki. What?
Yep, that's what I heard too.
Cocky is what I heard. Is that even close?
All right. You all have a nice night. We'll see you on the flip side. Oh, shit.